Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
I mean, it's just about our togetherness right now, and then the joy we just play with. We always play for each other. We always have each other's back. So we just feel like whatever we're just going against, we feel like we're gonna come out of it just in a good way. And yeah, that's basically that.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Daniels 7 yards deep in his own end zone, and he's going to be sacked, and that'll be 2 points for the Bears. Terrell Bernard.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Looking to the end zone. He's got a man. Touchdown. R.J. Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. We'll hear from Jerome, Tang, Baylor associate head coach in a moment. Really had a great time being able to have opportunities to speak with him. And every time he's on with us, there is some sort of a story that's behind the scenes, like when Matthew Meyer did not complete his free throws and then came back after practice, which was a big deal, among other things. Eric Galco is at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. OptimumScouting.com. He'll join us. King McClure at 4. Kim Mulkey, a little feisty last night, and I think it's because she understands after the loss to Iowa State, the room for error to win the Big 12 is, even though Iowa State just lost to Texas, Texas drilled them pretty good. You can feel that intensity build up, and she understands it's go time. She'll join us today from some comments she made last night, questions in the media session. John Machota on the Cowboys. Jason King will be here today as well, or be on with us today at 5:30. So we've got Jerome, Tang, King McClure, and Jason King on Baylor men's basketball. Paul, introduced to yet another one of our growing family of the SicEm365 Radio Factory.
Yeah, Zach Sweeney joins us. He's been on the earlier show, helping them out, and now he's hanging out here this afternoon. He comes to us from, there he is, he comes to us from UCLA via Fort Lauderdale, Florida, so he's well-traveled.
So a Paul pick, a Fort Lauderdale connection here?
No, it's not. It's he's really good friends with Grant Miller. So look, the transfer portal's working out for us well.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
The question is, who's going in it from us? Yeah. Who's going to be the first to jump in that thing?
I'm worried it's going to be Jack. I really am. Jack's going to go find a place where he can.
Is Jack flirting with other media outlets, Armstrong?
Not that I'm aware of, but I
don't know. I heard him in Utah been talking.
We might have to put up the big numbers to keep him here.
Yeah, we will. We will. Speaking of which, one of the reasons we have big numbers is thanks to Bob Mock. Marco's Pizza with locations in Woodway, China Spring, and also in Belmead is our presenting sponsor of our coverage next week in Tampa, Florida, and Super Bowl 55. It's great to have Marco's Pizza on, along with all of our great sponsors we've had, those 13 core sponsors from day one, and then so many others, a couple of dozen since that time as well. And we'll be in not Miami, but Tampa next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So a couple of notes. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak, thank you for watching and listening. 254-339-1122. Jerome Tang in about 8 to 10 minutes. Texas last night, without Shaka Smart and 3 players, including one of them is the guard that's so good, that can put up a lot of points, beaten by Oklahoma in a game that was almost a mirror image of a game a year ago when Oklahoma could have sealed a game with free throws, missed 2 in the last 2 seconds, and then they survived. OU, pretty good team. Baylor right now with a 2-game cushion in the Big 12 in men's basketball.
Yeah, and they're going to need it because, look, I think Baylor's going to get – they could go close to getting undefeated, but to me, close is 2 losses. I mean, I think that they're going to lose some games. I mean, the conference is too good, and people have down nights. You know, that the only team in the country I think is going to go undefeated in the regular season is Gonzaga, and that's just because now that they don't have any non-conference opponents down the line, they in their conference nobody can score with them at all, even on an off night. So Baylor's going to lose some games, and they need that cushion when they can get it.
Yeah, I mean, when that game was, set to be played, I think Texas was probably the pretty heavy favorite, even though Oklahoma's there, hanging around the top 25. But we got the news before the game that they were going to be without a lot of guys. And, you also had the Shaka coronavirus factor as well. You had several UT players who fouled out of that game, including Greg Brown. Greg Brown also had the accidental tip in, and then you look at the final score, and they lose by a point, and you're like, well, that was a little costly, that bucket that actually went in the wrong basket. But Oklahoma needed to win that game with Texas shorthanded. I mean, it wasn't a do or die, but if you have that opportunity to beat a team like Texas when they're hurting and when they're without a good array of players and coaches, then you got to take advantage of that. And so Oklahoma was able to. And imagine if they had it, then Baylor would still just be 1 game ahead, and Texas will have survived the top 25 contest without, a good group of guys. So Oklahoma, for Baylor's sake, needed to win that game. And, now they've got a little bit of cushion, but it's not a big cushion. I mean, and there's a long way to go here, but it is a 2-game cushion as opposed to 1 like it was this time yesterday.
So Baylor 14-0 tonight against Kansas State. Kansas State struggling just ahead of Iowa State in the Big 12 standings. KSU 5-11, 1-7. I asked Jerome Tang about how difficult it is, no matter who you're playing, in a conference situation to sweep somebody, and it's hard. It's very, very hard, and Bruce Weber, of course, will be one day in the Hall of Fame as well, as will Scott Drew in college basketball. Josh Heupel to Tennessee. They hired the AD, Danny White. It makes sense. They hired Josh Heupel. Did Tennessee get this right?
I mean, he's done well at UCF, and it's certainly not it's outside the box of what Tennessee's been doing for the last, post-Fulmer era coaches. So good for Josh Heupel, and I think he's a coach on the rise. I think he'll do well there, and I think he's a good hire.
Well, for everybody criticizing the hire and saying like they should have done better, who are they going to go get? The Jaguars hired Urban Meyer. So Urban Meyer's off the board, and Tennessee, I don't know how much of a shot they really would have had with him anyways because of his Florida ties and all of that. So, I mean, realistically, who else is there? You've already done the Lane Kiffin thing. You've already done that experiment. Plus, he's got a job now anyways. So you couldn't really go back to that wacky well. Who else is there? I mean, you're not going to go poach really anybody from a prominent program. You're not that great anymore, Tennessee. So I think it's a reality check. I think they did the best with what was available. Josh Heupel's a good head coach. UCF has thrived under a couple of different head coaches now. And Scott Frost left and did not work out that well so far at Nebraska. So we'll see if Heupel has maybe a different experience. But, he's been getting groomed for a long time now. Once he was done playing at OU, he won their last national title in 2000. But ever since then, he's been in the coaching ranks and trying to gear up for an opportunity like this. So, I mean, I think it's a good hire given the circumstances, and I don't know really what else they could have done that would have just really wowed people.
It's late in the day. It's late in the year. In high school football, it's not. They replace coaches all the way through May, June, July. But in college football, most of those things are done, You know, Dave Aranda was a little bit late in the system, about this time a year ago.
You know what fans and boosters do, and then put pressure on athletic directors to do, and this is what the new athletic director, Danny White, didn't have to worry about, because he can come in and go, hey, has anything you guys have done worked out at all? Okay, no, that's why I'm here. So let me make a hire and back off. But the part of the thing they do is they say, okay, well, who's the biggest coach we can get? For years, Tennessee's been talking about John Gruden.
Yeah.
It took $10 million a year for the Raiders to get John Gruden out of the TV booth. Why would he come back and recruit?
Yeah, no.
Something he hasn't done. I mean, so the fans and the boosters have to get those kind of things out of their head. Not who's the biggest name we can get, who's the best fit for what we do right now in college football in 2021.
So in other words, you're talking about any fan base or school that's UT.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, like, I wouldn't even try to knock Texas, really, but, I mean, it was and I haven't thought about the Gruden, Tennessee thing in a long time because it's been a while. But, yeah, that was for, like, years, literally. The rumor was Gruden was going to end up at Tennessee. His, like, son went there, like, all these weird connections.
That's where he met his wife. Or
whatever. It's like all this stuff, kind of like Saban house hunting in Austin years ago, kind of that kind of stuff. But, yeah, that was a rumor for a very long time, and you know, once that was off the board, I guess, because he's not leaving the Raiders in the position they're in and the money that he's making and the contract that he has, who else is there? I mean, so I think given the circumstances, Heupel's about as good as you could do. I'm not convinced he's going to be great. I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll
they
see
just
what
need
happens.
to be good.
No, they need to live up to the commitment. And just get, they're not the only one. There's a story by Stuart Mandel today on theathletic.com. Are they even a top 25 football job anymore? Same thing with the Nebraska, two teams that their peak years were towards the end of the 90s and early parts of 2000. Max Olson had this. Coaches who left the American Athletic Conference to a Power 5 conference. Mike Norvell, 3-6 his first year at Florida State. Manny Diaz, 14-10 at Miami from Temple. Jeff Collins, 6-16 at Georgia Tech from Temple. Chad Morris, 4-18 SMU to Arkansas. Scott Frost, 12-20 at Nebraska from UCF. Matt Rule was 19-20 at Baylor from Temple, and then left for a better job. With all due respect, I know Baylor fans, you don't understand that. I mean, it was a better job financially, and it's an NFL job. Tom Herman, 32-28, has the best record. He was just fired from Houston to Texas. Willie Taggart, 7-5 from South Florida to Oregon. And Justin Fuente, Memphis to Virginia Tech, is 38-26, somewhat stable.
Funny that Willie Taggart actually has one of the best winning percentages of that list, oddly enough. But, yeah, I mean, you can't take out a season because the season counts, but Matt Rules with that 1-11 does kind of play a little funhouse game with you of how good he really was record-wise. But, yeah, I mean, that counts, obviously, the 1-11, but that does kind of make his 500 record not really tell the whole tale.
Yeah, otherwise he's 18-9.
Yeah.
Pete Thamel had this earlier. Pat Fitzgerald agreed to a new 10-year contract with Northwestern. Of course, some NFL teams had made a push for him. Tate Martell, Miami, Ohio State, initially was an A&M commit, right? He's entered the transfer portal again.
Man, that kid.
Like he has 9 lives when it comes to that.
He can give people directions in the transfer portal.
He's like a congressman without term limits.
Yeah, he can give people in directions in the transfer portal. Yeah.
So there's certain players that are kind of like recruiting names that I remember over the years. And like I remember one of the first big recruiting stories that I ever covered was Ryan Perilou and Fred Rouse. And this contingent that UT was supposed to sign on signing day, and they didn't end up getting any of those guys. And those guys ended up having like whatever kind of careers. But Tate Martell is certainly a name that if you followed recruiting for any amount of time, you know. And you see him in the transfer portal again, you just laugh. Because this kid is the poster child for just wanting a starting job without really having to beat anybody out for it. That's why he's moved from place to place to place. And his legend is far bigger than anything he's actually done that's meaningful in college football.
It'll be interesting, by the way, back to Tennessee, what Kevin Steele does, because he had become the interim there. By the way, Chiefs say Le'Veon Bell, Sammy Watkins. Buccaneers say Antonio Brown, Antoine Winfield expected to play. They have all this week off to get healthy, treatment, whatever, expected to play in the Super Bowl. Let's take a call, and then we'll get back with our interview with Baylor Associate Head Coach Jerome Tang. Baylor tonight against Kansas State at the Farrell Center on ESPN2.
Stephen from Virginia, you're on SicEm365 Radio on the Impact Health Labs caller line.
Hey, guys, I know y'all got an interview coming up, so I'll keep it quick. I got 2 things, and the first one is I don't agree with Kurt Schilling on much, but I agree with him. He shouldn't have to go through this again next year. He's a Hall of Famer. If he doesn't want to be on the ballot, the Veterans Committee is by far the superior voting committee that puts people in the Hall of Fame. He should have that right. He shouldn't have to go through this again next year. And then I wanted to give y'all 5 guys that I think the Veterans Committee should induct into the Hall of Fame real quick. Maury Wills, the best shortstop in the National League in the 60s, the original stolen base guy to beat Ty Cobb. Dave Parker, the Snake, a big part of Pittsburgh's We Are Family teams. Number 3 for Paul, Dwight Evans of the Red Sox. He deserves to be in there. Number 2, Steve Garvey, Mr. Baseball in the 70s pretty much. And my number 1 guy, Curt Flood, not just for what he did for free agency, but Curt Flood is a 300 hitter and an 8-time Gold Glove winner who supplanted Willie Mays as the best center fielder in the National League. Take care, guys. I hope y'all can comment on that.
All right, well, let's start with Curt Flood. To me, Curt Flood gets in as well because he changed baseball. He changed sports. He's the one that went head-to-head with the antitrust system in Major League Baseball that led the free agency soon after that time. And not only that, he gets known. He's known for that. He was a hell of a player. He was overshadowed by Lou Brock when it comes to his career with the St. Louis Cardinals. 254-339-1122. One quick note, then we have to take a break. Jason Witten retiring from the NFL after 17 years, played with the Raiders last year. He's going to sign a one-day deal with the Cowboys, one of the most reliable tight ends in NFL history, and soon, I would think, at some point, will obviously be a part of the discussion when it comes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is SicEm365 Radio. The Super Bowl coming up a week from Sunday. Do you have what you want when it comes to what you need, when it comes to whoever's going to be there, whether it's just you, the family, or maybe some others to come to watch the game? Right now, Waco Custom Marketplace has the following items on sale. 50% all frozen seafood fillets. 50% off on all frozen seafood fillets. Could be cod, could be salmon, it could be mahi-mahi. They have them. And their salmon, by the way, is absolutely spectacular. Pepperoni, mozzarella snack sticks for $5.99 a pound. These are some things to have for a snack tray. Pepper Jack snack sticks, regular snack sticks, jalapeno and cheese snack sticks. Say that fast and you start saying things that don't even sound like snack sticks. All $5.99 a pound. Chicken drumsticks, 99 cents a pound. Pork spare ribs, $2.10 a pound. Beef a T-bone steak, $7.50 a pound, and porterhouse steak, $7.99 a pound. I went in there on Saturday, got a bone-in ribeye, custom cut just for me at 1 inch and almost 1.5 inches. It was spectacular to have that night for dinner. Craig loves the bacon wrap fillets, thick, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. They're fantastic. Waco Custom Marketplace, you can go online, wacocustommarketplace.com, or buy their store. And it's open Saturday as well. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
2020 made you tough. Now get a tough SUV to match. There's a reason Allen Samuels has been a Customer First Excellence Award winner for 3 consecutive years. Stop by and check out the friendly, courteous sales staff, world-class facility, and top-ranked Jeep inventory. Get $6,750 in values on a new Jeep Renegade or $4,000 in total values on the new Tough as Nails Jeep Gladiator Sport and Oberlin. Experience firsthand the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels and check them out at allensamuelsdcj.com. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville, but we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, "You know, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters." And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Baylor Associate Head Basketball Coach for Baylor Men's Basketball, Jerome Tang with me on SicEm365 Radio. The other day I sent you a text or two after the win, and you made a comment about that you know, the team is mature enough to when they know they need to turn it on. Is that something that's positive but also somewhat dangerous?
Yes, it could be dangerous. I think, like, there was a lot of things that went into that game. And once again, we're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. And as much as people look forward to playing us now because we have that number 2 in front of our names, our guys were looking forward to competing against, you know, Cade Cunningham, who is projected the number 1 draft pick. And so there was I could sense that there was a little not a letdown as in a lack of respect, but a disappointment as in, man, they were really up to play this thing. And it took a little while for them to get over, all right, look, Cade Cunningham is not on this floor, and the other team is really hyped about playing us. And at halftime, they said, okay, let's go win this basketball game. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you saw was a mature group that came out the second half and said, hey, let's go win this basketball game. And, I mean, you got to I would say really we have to credit Oklahoma State the other night because they came out ready to play and they had the next man up mentality, and they're a really good basketball team. So there was a combination of a lot of things that led me to say the guys have the maturity to know how to turn it on.
Do you is each team different when it comes to the personality of a team? If you're down at 8, 7, 4, 2, 9, whatever, whether you're playing an elite team or is everyone different each year and year in and year out when it comes to how they handle not so much the adversity, but maybe even when there is a halftime break and how they are in a locker room?
Yes, yeah. You always hope that you have leaders in there who will get everybody focused on what the next thing is, and they can start talking out some things that they're seeing, and doing it without being emotional, and so it's you hope that you have that every year, but every team's a little bit different. This group, I mean, you walk in there and they can tell you what they need to do, and then when you make adjustments, they understand adjustments, and sometimes they have suggestions, and their suggestions are usually right on because they're such a intelligent, mature group.
Does that allow you, Jerome, to then get more done in a short amount of time rather than having sometimes the emotional, I'm not saying outburst, but you could waste time with emotions and saying things rather you guys can get straight to, okay, this is what's got to be done and no delays?
Yeah, it does. You get through things quicker. You can, and you can throw some complicated things at them, and they're able to decipher it, and they do a good job of just making the game simple, and so their maturity level allows us to do some things that they're sometimes you mess your team up by making too many adjustments.
Baylor and Kansas State tonight, ESPN2, just after 8 o'clock. Jerome Tang on SicEm365 Radio. What is the actual definition? I see you use this a lot. Culture of joy.
Well, for us, joy means Jesus first, others second, yourself last. And whenever our guys have a smile on their face, they're caring about their teammates, they're promoting their teammates, and they're being selfless. That's our definition of joy. And Coach Drew has established a culture here, and the players have bought into it. I know when you interview them, you can tell. I mean, they're sincere about their faith. Some are more outspoken about it than others, but we all do it differently. They compliment their teammates, and it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing of how they really love each other, and they understand that each guy is so important. And then the last thing is themselves. And there's a scripture where Jesus was talking to the rich young ruler, and he told him the last thing he needed to do was sell all that he had and give it to the poor. And the rich young ruler couldn't do it because he was very wealthy. His name, his identity was tied up in his wealth. And what we tell our guys is that when you're willing to, the thing that is the most important to you, you're willing to sacrifice it and give it away for the benefit of the team. That's what we refer to about thinking of yourself last, giving your best for somebody else's good. And so I mean, I'm gonna give Smoke. The other day we were in the huddle, right? And I will go in and we're gonna make a sub, and I say, hey, sub in, and it was somebody was subbing in for LJ Cryer, and Jared Butler looks at me and said, what are you doing? He just made 2 3-pointers, and I hadn't made 2. He had hit 1, but Jared's fighting for his teammate to stay in the game, and for LJ to see Jared do that and to know how much he appreciated him, and even in the few minutes that he played, I mean, when you have guys who recognize each other like that and fight for each other like that, I mean, that goes such a long way. And I was so proud of him, and even though he still made the sub, I was still so proud of him because that just it just shows how much they care and believe in each other.
Yeah, and is that also, that's a great story, and that's such an unselfish thing to do, and we've discussed that with so many players, whether they could be scoring an extra 5 or 8 or 10 points a game somewhere else, and you've got a bunch that could. But it also says Jared Butler was named Big 12 Player of the Week. It's the first time this year. You're unbeaten, number 2 in the country, and it's the first time that you've had a Player of the Week. Doesn't that say something about that, what you've discussed about unselfish basketball?
Yes, it does. And, it also says that sometimes the people who do these things, they vote for these things, they just look at stat sheets. They don't look at value. And so, but, these guys, it's just amazing. You're on them that it's like, hey, let's just win the next game, figure out how to win a Big 12 championship. And that's really their focus right now.
How hard is it in a conference, no matter how K-State struggled or not? They have a coach in Bruce Weber that has won hundreds of games in his career. How difficult is it to sweep somebody in a conference?
It is so difficult. And Bruce Weber, let's just think he has 2 Big 12 championships. Okay, he's gone to a Final Four, gone to 2 Elite Eights, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. And people sometimes they can't see the forest for the trees. This dude is unbelievable. He's going to have his team ready. They're coming in here with a belief that they can win, and they're going to have a game plan for us. And we've got to have a game plan and a mindset to handle whatever they throw at us. So it's it's going to be a battle. It's a Big 12 game. That's just it is what it is. And there are no off nights in the Big 12.
Your bench is averaging over 30 points a game when I checked it. But yet again, it almost appears as if your bench could even get better and deeper. Is that true?
Yes, they can. And we still haven't had a night where, everybody's on. And so I'm hoping that happens on April 6th, I think. But just that these guys, and the thing about it is they know they can get better individually, and they know we can get better as a team. And so yesterday's practice, it was a really good practice, and you wouldn't have known who we was playing today, the record of the team or whoever. You wouldn't have been able to tell, because I'm sure there are people who say, oh, well, it's K-State, they look at their record or whatever, but it wasn't like at practice yesterday. It was guys trying to get better and trying to get our team better. And so it was really fun.
I know it's Kansas State tonight. You have a game Saturday that's a crossover game with the SEC. Are those games, is it a breath of fresh air to play somebody different, even though this year's been different about how many times you've already played or not? Is it a breath of fresh air, or is it something that can be a distraction?
Usually it's a breath of fresh air, because we'd have played so many games, and this year you kind of just wish you could play the next Big 12 game. I'm sure the SEC wishes they can just keep their league, the coaches wishes they can just play the next SEC team and try and get as many games in, because games are being canceled, and so you're like, this game doesn't count towards a Big 12 championship. We could be playing a Big 12 team that's going to move in that direction. And this is me. I'm not speaking for Baylor basketball. I'm speaking for Jerome Tang. We might have some guys on staff who feel great about it, and I just, wish we could play the next Big 12 team.
One more thing. You have, and others have to be like the advanced scout for whoever you're playing. Like tonight, Kansas State, you'll have a game, whoever has a game. How much time, extra time, goes into that, and what does that mean? Is that breaking down film, distributing it to everybody, practice moments where you are and whoever is going down through that? Is that kind of a, that's a heck of a responsibility that your next game is you or who? Is that something that really says a lot about who gets those?
Yeah, we have a system that's set up with GAs that start breaking the game down, sets and personnel for us ahead of time. And we're watching, I know me personally, I'll try to watch every game that's on TV that one of the teams we're going to play if I can. And then, we're just getting a good feel for the individual, for the team, what a coach likes to do. And then we sit down and we narrow it down to what information we want to give to the guys. We try the KISS system, keep it simple, stupid, and just, give them the information that they need, not too much that they're paralyzed, by analysis, but just what can allow them to be out there and play. And then we have a scout team that has to learn the other team's sets and tendencies, and we try to go through it a couple times, and we try to watch it with the team 3 times before we play the game. And so it's a whole process, but we've got it down pretty good.
You obviously do.
Like.
Yeah. Jerome, as always, there's always a story you share with me, whether it's about Matthew Meyer and him taking those free throws after practice or something. There's always something you mention. Jonathan Chamwachachua, and now with what Jared Butler shared with you when it comes to LJ. Thanks for being so insightful, accessible. Thanks for your time, and good luck tonight.
Well, thank you very much. Have a great one.
Jerome Tang on SicEm365 Radio. Coming up, we'll check in on the Reese's Senior Bowl, the workouts that continue. Eric Galko from OptimumScouting.com will join us. Petty Clinic Low T. There are 4 new patients that were there today. 6 scheduled to be there tomorrow for appointments to see Dr. Petty. Go online, pettycliniclowt.com. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues or problems that come from low T, low testosterone levels. As you get older, your testosterone levels can get lower too. As you get older, they get lower. And Father Time, of course, eventually wins everything. But low testosterone could mean that you struggle sleeping at night. It could mean that you're lethargic and you're not that kind of person that normally is. It could mean that your sex drive is changed, your stamina, your performance, all of the above. Maybe just one of those. Dr. Kent Petty can help you out as he's helping out so many others, including the 4 new clients there today. He will help set up your blood work. The blood work then will see, and he can check your testosterone levels. They'll also check cholesterol, PSA for prostate cancer, and much more. Check your testosterone levels, and if they're too low, put you in a program to help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, and you deserve to be. And oh, by the way, your testosterone levels might need a little bit of a jump start. They might need an overhaul, and he can help you out. PettyClinicLowT.com. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
You know, I gave a stat yesterday that came from ESPN Stats, and I talked to the guy that tweeted it out. I said, hey, can you come on our show and kind of give us some of the backgrounds? I mean, you imagine, Craig, the amount of information. Elias Sports Bureau used to be it when it comes to baseball, and now ESPN has their stats department. The knowledge of how many things, like Armstrong, this is like how many times you've produced a show in a row. They would have it. And they were talking about 4 teams out of the state of Texas ranked in the top 10 in basketball. It's never happened for any state anywhere. Can you imagine in that vault of knowledge inside that? That'd be a pretty cool job.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to see what their setup is to be able to find things so quickly and so randomly.
Keywords, you think? Like
there has to be, because, I mean, how else do you get to the random, like, he's the first player since 1972 to have 12 rebounds and 13 points from a off-the-bench number 4 player.
Is there some guy that just goes through and just, like, counts all that?
Yeah, no, there's got to be some sort of like a formula that they use, or some type of a keyword thing that they use, because like some of it's, I mean, it's interesting, and because it's interesting, I would love to know like how they come up with such random things at times, like, you know, some like kind of the example I was given.
If in fact back when the internet first started, which was what? Back in the 90s, 80s or 90s.
But really the 90s.
But let's say, for example, there's a story about Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern. You put up the name Fitzgerald, Pat Fitzgerald. There are all these key names, and it spits a bunch of stuff out. But Jason Witten retiring, we mentioned that after being a year in Monday Night Football, coming back for a year with the Raiders, or with the Cowboys, and a year with the Raiders. He's now retiring, and we'll see what happens with him next, whether coaching is in his future or what it might be. We're now joined by Eric Galko, OptimumScouting.com. He's at the Reese's Senior Bowl week, and he joins us with Paul, Craig, David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. Eric, I know this is like Christmas for you. I know this is that you've been waiting for this. How much different is it this year with concerns about too many people being in too many places at the same time, or is it pretty much back normal right now?
No, definitely not normal. I'm going to talk to you guys. I think it's been really impressive what Jim Nagy, the executive director here at the Senior Bowl, has pulled off. And in a year where no one's at stadiums, in a year where the NFL Combine preemptively canceled, having this game and the way they've handled it, very, very few COVID implications at all, has been really important. And I joke with everybody here, outside of maybe a couple of the quarterbacks, maybe the long snappers, all these kids here are going to be drafted most likely because teams and area scouts haven't seen anybody play up close and personal since the 2019 calendar year. And just seeing these guys and watch them move, you know, extra confidence. So I think it's phenomenal this game happened. It's been a great week of practice so far, and kudos to Jim Nagy for putting it all together.
A lot of time that doesn't happen though at the Senior Bowl, right? Do you expect What would you say the percentage of kids drafted that wouldn't have been drafted, say, just 2 years ago that played in the Senior Bowl goes up?
Quite a few. There's about 130 kids here. And again, I think quarterbacks is, it's always teams either like a guy or they don't, right? And long snappers and kickers and punters don't always get picked. But you throw those guys out, and I think it's overall it's a pretty average, if not above average roster that's here. But again, the big point is that when GMs are making, their 4th and 5th round pick, that's how you make or break your career as a GM. It's really hard to take a kid who, for some kids, right, in the small schools or even some of the Big Ten programs who opted out, if I haven't seen a guy play in 2 calendar years, it's hard for me to draft that guy. So I think that's a big reason why this game is so important. And again, just seeing it's like the devil you know, it's been the devil you don't. Well, this right now, every guy here, good, bad, or indifferent, it's someone that these teams have seen too. So this year is going to be, again, 95% hit rate. Most years, probably 90 or 85% of these guys get drafted. So, and again, it's a great class, and I think Jim's done a great job.
We're obviously very familiar with Matt Rule, who's coaching one of the teams out there. I saw a little clip of him earlier. What have you picked up on just seeing Matt Rule kind of, working the team, and obviously he's got his eyes out for maybe some future Panthers as well.
Yeah, no, he's still a college coach. He's out here yelling at guys for not getting lined up right, and he's intent on the field for everyone's noticed that. But obviously at Baylor and now in Carolina, players that he's worked with really like him and really respect him. I think the players here have seen that pretty quickly that, hey, he's intense, but he knows what he's talking about. And I think the big question is, hey, Carolina not picking in the top 4 or 5 picks, definitely can't get Trevor Lawrence, maybe in a tough spot for Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and even Trey Lance. But Mac Jones is here. Mac Jones is on the Carolina team. Does Mac Jones fit in Carolina and their offense? He has some similarities. Not as talented, but some similarities from how he plays to Joe Burrow, who Joe Brady's familiar with. So a lot of those connections are happening here. And, in a year, we're going to see 4 quarterbacks go in the top 6, 7 picks maybe. There's always that next guy, right? All right, who's the next guy after him? And maybe Mac Jones is it. And I think it's not a coincidence Mac Jones is on the team for Carolina who needs a quarterback.
Eric, it is such a unique year because of what you mentioned, and what Nagy has done is very special. What is going to be the most important part of the offseason? This week, the combine's different, obviously, if there is, I guess that's, or the college pro days. And can you fly people in to your facilities? All that's kind of wiped out, right?
Yeah, no, it's there's not going to be one date. Like I would say generally the NFL Combine is when, teams start to finalize boards and they're able to talk to a lot of players and talk to agents and know what free agency is going to look like and put all those pieces together around the Combine. And that'll happen in some capacity this year. But I'll tell you, even here, not only are players quarantined, but for the most part, NFL teams are quarantined, right? Because they get access to the players. So there are agents that usually are making deals here in Mobile that just can't do it. So there won't be one big time of the NFL offseason. I do know, because everyone in America is comfortable with Zoom calls, I know a lot of GMs already got started on interviews with players in December and January and trying to get ahead of it, because now that we're all on the same page of, hey, this is going to be a very virtual year, teams and GMs can actually be more decisive and impactful. So I think one of the surprise benefits of this year is that, hey, GMs, everyone's their house anyways, so why can't the GM finish a Zoom call with his area scouts and then go call a first-round player and interview himself? So I think GMs will have more face-to-face, digitally, interaction with players. But again, it's really hard to kind of put those pieces together if you don't have the Senior Bowl, Shrine Game, and NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, and the Combine, and the Pro Days. Not having that's going to be really tough. And I think we'll see a lot of teams kind of play it safe this year.
What have you seen from Baylor's William Bradley King so far?
Haven't noticed him much. I will say it's been tough down here for a lot of guys like Bradley King, other defensive tackles, defensive end tweeners. Not a lot of very good interior defensive linemen in this draft class. I think it's been tough for a lot of guys that are tweeners there, because both these teams play a 4-3 base in practice, and it's been tough to see that. But to be honest, guys, I haven't noticed them down here or playing at all, and forgive me for that too. But Bradley King is a very talented, versatile interior defensive lineman, can play 5-tech, can play on the perimeter. I think, for some teams, he can play situational third down, 3 technique as well. But a player who's going to be a day 3 guy, and again, just being well known by teams this year and having played part of a season and knowing his background playing at 2 different schools, the fact that he's known and well liked by teams and invited to the Senior Bowl is enough to say, hey, he's got a great chance to be a safe top 5 round draft pick.
Eric, on the defensive line, or sticking with the defensive line, a young man from right down the road at Temple High School, played at Texas, Taquan Graham. Have you picked up anything or noticed anything from him?
Yeah, he's a guy that you notice right away because of that motor and that toughness and that intensity he brings every play too. And again, he's a player who I think for a lot of teams is going to be that 5-tech role and maybe play outside a little bit, but with such a limited defensive tackle class. And just to kind of give color to that, I think Jim Nagy realized that, hey, it's one of the weakest defensive tackle classes we've ever seen. I'd rather invite the good players and maybe play them a bit out of position, but just get the right guys here versus force it. I think Graham has played a lot more D tackle and even some nose tackle than I think maybe he will in the NFL, but he's been really impactful there. And that violence and that aggressiveness he shows is very apparent in practice like this. So a guy like him with good punch, good explosiveness, and a good motor, those guys always show up in Mobile as impressive guys.
You mentioned how many quarterbacks could be drafted, not only early, but also in the first round. How many do you think? Because it always seems like for some reason somebody else or two, just because of the position and people panic a little bit, jump into the first round. How many in the end, and who are they? Other than some, you can name the obvious as well.
Yeah, no, I mean the first 4 of the top 7 picks or 8 picks. Still be Trevor Lawrence 1. Still confident Zach Wilson of BYU will be number 2 overall pick. Who's holding that pick? We'll see. And then Trey Lance of North Dakota State, Justin Fields, Ohio State. Kind of maybe one of those 2 will go 3, one will go 4. The question is going to be Mac Jones, and personally, I'm not sure Mac is a guy that I would recommend to a team investing a first, maybe on a second-round pick in. But as you mentioned, teams need quarterbacks. A lot of teams this year uniquely need quarterbacks. I think we'll learn a lot more once free agency happens and this Deshaun Watson and Matt Stafford trade goes through, and if Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded and all of that, we'll learn a lot more. But I think there's real interest saying, hey, there's 4 going to go early. There are a lot of teams, the Patriots, the Niners, not in the top 5 picks that really need quarterbacks for the future. That's where kind of Mac Jones, maybe Kyle Trask come in. But I think we'll see a lot of quarterbacks early. We'll see Trask and Mac Jones go, maybe late first for Mac, more likely somewhere in the second round, and Kyle Trask in 3rd or 4th, and then a big drop-off from there.
Eric Galko, OptimumScouting.com with us. He's at the Senior Bowl. We've known Eric for a long, long time. He was in diapers the first time we ever had him on. He was born with the NFL draft book in his crib.
Kellen Mond, where do you find? Is he a day 2, day 3 guy?
I'd be surprised if Kellen was drafted at all. I think he'll have it'd be surprised if he was. He's really struggled down here, and the accuracy just never clicked for him. At Texas A&M as well. So I think he's a plus athlete. He's a tough kid. He's doing his best down here, but he's not going to be an NFL quarterback, I don't think, and I feel pretty confident he'll be a draft pick. And I know some teams have already kind of wondered and talked to him a little bit about, hey, is there a position change here? Is there a different role you want to play? Because I think he's a competitor and a guy who's been a leader, but not an NFL quarterback.
What about Sam Ehlinger, sticking with the QBs?
Yeah, Ehlinger's been one of the better quarterbacks here. I think only Mac Jones is guaranteed to be a draft pick of the 6 quarterbacks that are here, but Ehlinger is in the mix. And hey, guys, I think you guys know I worked for the XFL. I was director of player personnel for the XFL, and I realized talking with teams back then, hey, it's not about finding the next Josh Allens or the Sam Darnold. The quarterbacks that stick and are effective are the ones that can improvise, and when things are going wrong, they can make plays. We saw Taylor Heineke do it for the Washington football team, and again, the XFL, P.J. Walker, and those type of guys. And I think Sam Ehlinger has a lot of that to him where, hey, your backup should be a guy to get you out of games. I think teams right now are saying, hey, if I'm going to spend a 4th, 5th, 6th-round pick on a quarterback, I'm not going to throw it away on some upside guy. Give me a guy that I can go in a foxhole with and get out of a game or 2 and get some wins. I think Sam Ehlinger is the quarterback in this draft that best fits that. So I think he's a draft pick. It'll be late, but I think he's got a good chance to be drafted and stick in the NFL.
Eric, is it too early to see a diamond in the rough? Someone that you could already tell maybe is opening some eyes either there or even as these next several weeks go by? Is there someone that's kind of catching some attention as a diamond in the rough?
Not quite. I think it's been, it's only a day and a half here in Mobile, but I think the exciting part for a lot of teams is watching the guys that both opted out and then the small school players. One guy jumps to mind is a receiver out of South Dakota State, Cade Johnson, and after not playing a year, if he wasn't here at the Senior Bowl, teams are going to be having a really tough time drafting a small school kid who didn't play an entire season, right? But him coming here, showing that he can hang with the top FBS corners and the top Power 5 corners in practice consistently, this kid goes from a afterthought for NFL teams to maybe a 4th, 5th round pick. And those kind of stories that the Senior Bowl is always done for small school players, and guys that haven't had a chance to impress at the college level. But again, for a year like this, where the Big Ten played 5 games or 4 games and small schools play none, Cade Johnson kind of comes to mind as, hey, this, if not for the Senior Bowl, he may be on the street in a year. Now with the Senior Bowl, he may be, starting games for NFL teams in the next 9 months. So
you said that there may only be 1 or 2 quarterbacks. Isn't Kyle Trask there? You don't think he
brought him up?
Not.
Okay. He's not there, though. Okay.
Trask isn't here. No, he had an injury. He pulled out late. So there's only 6 quarterbacks here. And, again, Mack is the only quarterback here that I think is definitely short of getting drafted. The other guys will have to fight for a couple spots.
So, Eric, what do you think the philosophy is behind Devontae Smith not wanting to get weighed and measured? I know there's a strategy to that, but can you kind of explain that for those who don't, follow us closely?
Yeah, he's here, and I can just eyeball it. He's not 190 pounds for sure. He's not. He's light, and I think that's the real question. And believe me, he's been one of the enigmas of this draft process, because I think he's going to be the 3rd receiver taken in this draft behind his teammate Jalen Waddle and LSU's Jamar Chase. But you look historically, and something we do with NFL teams all the time is, hey, who does this guy look like? And you got to go back 20 years to find comparisons to Devonta Smith, because he's a 6'1", sub 190 pound, 4'5" receiver. There's not many guys that made it in the NFL in the modern era. The best comparison probably is Isaac Bruce, but that's going back 15, 20 years. So that all being said, maybe he's just a unicorn. He's an outlier. He's that special. So that's what teams have to wrestle with, saying, hey, we know the production. We saw how good he was, but there's not many guys like him that end up having long NFL careers. Is he the outlier, or should we kind of use that evidence? So I think for Devonta, it's probably just pushing that off and forcing teams to say, hey, you'll get measurables at some point, but if you want to put me on your board, put me on your board, because what I did against Ohio State, not what I measured at the Senior Bowl.
All right, Paul, anything else?
Nope.
Eric, thank you very much. We appreciate you, and we'll hope to have you on a handful of times along the way. Be good and be safe. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, that's Eric Galko. I was not going to get into it because, I was always pretty rough with him on his.
Well, that was a really even paced, so
yeah,
he was probably early in the day.
It's early in the season.
Fill in the new audience on what you're referring to.
Well, he used to just snort coke right before he came on the segment with us.
That's not true at all. He talks really fast, as you can hear, and so
I thought he's actually pretty low key right there.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think we broke him. I think we finally
broke him.
We're able to kind of
fixed him.
Or I think he's ramping up. It's early in the process. He's got a long way to go.
Armstrong, it's the first time you've ever heard Eric Galko.
Yeah.
We will have him on maybe 3 to 5 times between now and the draft. Wait until you get
Monday of draft week. We'll see how
he is absolutely stoned out of his mind sometimes.
He sounded normal there.
Yeah, he did.
No, it's early. You got to pace yourself with cocaine. I'm telling you right now.
That's a
from experience.
Untrue accusation against Eric Galko. But I thought that was interesting what he had to say about Kellen Mond and not getting drafted at all.
Yeah, that was interesting. And I have seen some people been talking about Ellinger. He's done pretty well, and he's looked okay. And that is intriguing.
But if you watch Kellen Mond as a passer, and a lot of it is he's got guys that are open or he throws to big receivers. When he one of the things you got to watch with quarterbacks is when they miss, how do they miss? When Kellen Mond misses, it is a miss.
You're talking about a guy who's when he misses the strike zone?
Yeah.
It's like Bobby Witt when he was younger, old school.
You saw Bull Durham, right? Nuke LaLoosh, he's plunking the mascot. That's what happens with Kellen Mond. Now, Jimbo Fisher has done an excellent job with Kellen Mond from when he took over, because I told you this when they hired Jimbo Fisher, I didn't think Kellen Mond was a quarterback he ever would have recruited based on, you look at LSU and Florida State, who he had. He never had anybody like Kellen Mond. And he made Kellen Mond into as close to a Jimbo Fisher quarterback as you could.
And I think you got to be careful, too, with Fisher quarterbacks, because you look at Christian Ponder, you look at E.J. Manuel, you look at those guys, and they did not pan out. And they were first-round picks who didn't pan out in major ways. So, yeah, I'd be a little bit... Okay, I don't know about Kellen Mond just because of the Fisher thing, he is awkward. He's awkward to watch. He's got a big body, but he's not fluid in any way, really. He's kind of herky-jerky kind of. I don't know. But, yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily pegged, and I'm not a draft analyst, peg Mond going undrafted potentially and Ellinger getting picked late. But, we'll see what happens. I mean, long way to go here.
I'm by no means a scout, by any means an X's and O's guys, but I'll tell you right now, Kellen Mond would drive you nuts if you're an A&M fan, or even sometimes watching.
He did. What
will be interesting is if they start next year, and if it's Haynes King or whoever, and then all of a sudden you might go, God, I didn't. And Haynes King, we know, is a very special player, but you wonder if there'll be any murmurs. God, I never thought we were going to miss Kellen Mond. He was very much underappreciated, and a lot of times it was his own fault. And then, of course, he had the statue stare down, which alienated him from some members of the A&M community, which is part of where we are today. But I think look what they were this year.
He's broken a trend though, because A&M quarterbacks are usually good in their sophomore and junior. Like since Bucky, if you go from Bucky Richardson, who was good the whole time, to now, even Johnny Manziel dropped off. Like everybody who's played quarterback, maybe Ryan Tannehill was on the up, but like most of the guys, look at Gerard Johnson, look at Stephen McGee, Corey Pullig, for God's sakes, like any of those guys, they have a good run, and then like their quarterback career starts here and goes here at A&M.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Kenny Hill.
He never.
It happened
never
all in 1 year.
Yeah. When we come back, King McClure will join us. Baylor tonight. They're playing Kansas State at the Farrell Center, ESPN2. Just after 8 o'clock, we heard from Jerome Tang. He was great as usual. Jason King will join us at 5:30. But coming up, Sean Bell tomorrow, offensive quarterbator at quarterbacks coach, at Baylor, will join us at 5:30. Lovie Smith's going to join us on Friday as well. But coming up next, we'll hear from King McClure by Zoom on Baylor, K-State, SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Customer First Award for Excellence, most prestigious award you can get in the car business. And on top of that, if you're in the car business, you want to sell what you have, right? Right now, the new January 21st special offers through the rest of the month. 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, values of nearly $5,700. 0% for 72 months. 2020 Dodge Journey, most affordable third-row seating vehicle with total values of $6,750. That's $6,750. There's the Jeep Renegade Latitude, values up to nearly $6,800 off. That's the 2020 version, the 2020 Jeep Gladiator. All models with $4,000 in values. That's total values off the price. Then there's the 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus, up to $5,500 in total values. The Grand Cherokee Laredo 2021 Jeep, $4,250 in total values off. And then, of course, the Ram truck. Ram truck, back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. The 1500 Crew Cab Lone Star with values of over $7,000 off in various 0% for 60 months, 2.9 for 72, plus $3,000 in total values back. It's all in the lot. They have a ton of vehicles for you. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Loop, 340 east of 84 in Waco.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
MP Electric has developed a quality-oriented electrical contracting service in more than 20 years in the industry. Led by President Mark Perry, our electricians go through a 5-year apprenticeship program, are licensed by the state of Texas, and getting continuous education annually upon renewal. In great part, the success of MP Electric lies with its management and professional expertise of its employees. All of our employees share a dedication to quality and commitment to serving the needs of our customers. For new construction and remodels, parking lot, lighting and surge protection, landscape lights, security lights, troubleshooting and repairs. For industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, paper and publishing, heavy industry, cement and rock crushing plants, water distribution plants, and utilities. For 20 years, MP Electric has serviced industrial, commercial, and residential products. We do service right. MP Electric Inc. at 1890 Galaxy Road, Waco. MPElectricUSA.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corp. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Three, left side, good. King McClure, there's his second made three of the afternoon.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Earlier today, Jerome Tang, Baylor men's basketball, number 2 in the country, 14-0, 7-0 in the Big 12. 2-game lead in the conference, hosting Kansas State. Jason King will join us at 5:30. Right now, it's our weekly visit with the one and only King McClure, who joins us via Zoom on SicEm365 Radio, and great to have King with us again today. So, King, the game Saturday, it was a struggle. You've been a player. You've been in moments when a player that you look forward to playing against, like a Cade Cunningham, all of a sudden doesn't play. Can that affect your focus?
I mean, yeah, it can. I mean, you always, you get those pregame jitters, or, you have that focus to, hey, I'm going to play Cade Cunningham, potential number 1 draft pick. I'm about to lock him down. Like, of course you want to do that, but at the end of the day, it's still basketball. You still got to worry about the rest of his teammates because they're still a team. And like you saw, it was a close game at first, but they took care of business. But you definitely have to bring your A game and your focus regardless of who's on the court.
Mike Boynton had a great defensive plan against Baylor. King, it just ultimately, was that about just depth, that eventually that they're going to get hot no matter how good your defensive plan is? This team is talented enough where some shots are going to fall?
Yeah, I mean, you can have a plan, but I think the team that makes this team so special is because, or the reason that makes this team so special is because they're so deep. I mean, when you look at Adam Flagler and Matthew Meyer coming off the bench, those are 2 guys who could probably start in a majority of high major programs. So they're really, really good, and they're really deep. And you're starting 3 guards. You have Macio's on the top 10 and Jerry West Award, and Jared Butler, who is probably, if not the best guard in the country, one of the best guards in America. They're just too talented. I mean, you really can't hold these guys down because they have too many weapons.
Did y'all pay attention to the standings throughout the season? Like, how close of tabs do the players keep on what's going on around the conference and, kind of where you guys are?
Nah, we definitely pay attention to it. I mean, we look at it. The coaches make us aware of it, just because ultimately the end goal is to win conference, and we have to know what everybody else is doing in order to keep our focus. Like, we can't pay too much attention to it, but we definitely look at it. We definitely look at the rankings. We care about it. A lot of dudes want to front and say they don't really care about it. You care about it. Everybody cares. Everybody pays attention to what the media says. So it doesn't play a big role, but we look at it.
So there's this guy that we've had on, Evan Maya, who has a website. He's got his own kind of rankings and analysis. And according to his Stats King, Baylor has the 4 best players in the Big 12. Jared Butler 1, Davion Mitchell 2, Mark Vidal 3, Maceo Teague 4, and then there's a drop-off to get to Santos Silva from Texas Tech. Is that surprising to you at all?
No, I mean, yes and no. I would say yes and no. I mean, I would think the guys like Matt Coleman and Courtney Ramey probably a little bit higher, probably up there. But I mean, it is kind of surprising the top 4. I mean, we know what Jared Butler's going to do. We know what Davion Mitchell is going to do. Mark Vidal and Maceo. But I mean, I would think that you probably have some other guys. I think Marcus Garrett up there. And so I guess, yeah, to me it is kind of surprising, to be honest.
You know, they're so deep, and they have to be unselfish, and you've been a part of that. How rare is that, King, that players understand they may play less, which also means they may shoot less, they may score less, but in the end, you're going to get the kind of attention, whether it's the next level or what, if you win more?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the culture that is preached at Baylor is, joy and just being so unselfish. I think it started my senior year, my senior season. I mean, I was a senior, but ultimately, if you really pay attention, I was letting Jared Butler go to work at the end of the games. I mean, because I just don't care. I want to win games, and that's all that matters to me. And Jared Butler is that talented, and I saw that in him my senior year, his freshman year. And a lot of times you're like, okay, King's the senior, King is going to shoot the shots, take the shots at the end of the game. I'm like, nah, I don't really care. I don't have an ego. So ultimately, if Jared Butler is better at the end of the game situations and he gets buckets, I'm gonna let him do it. And that's what happens. And I think that just trickle down. I mean, ultimately, I think that, hey, you got to be unselfish to play on a team that's loaded, especially when you have 8 or 9 weapons. If you're not unselfish, that could kill the whole thing. And I think that Coach Drew and his staff done a great job of basically just like letting everybody know their roles and letting everybody be unselfish, but still allowing them to be themselves.
How big is a 2-game lead now after that Oklahoma win over Texas last night in a COVID year where, look, what happened to Texas where they had a coach and some players out could happen to anybody in the league?
Yeah, that's big because you really just don't know what happens. I mean, God forbid, like that could happen to Baylor next week. I mean, you never know. I mean, because nobody thought it happened to Texas. So it could happen to anybody. So the 2-game lead is huge, especially right now when you just don't know. Next week isn't for certain.
So, King, I know that they've got to take care of business, versus Kansas State first, but that Auburn matchup on Saturday, how intrigued are you by that?
Man, I'm so intrigued. I can't wait. I've been telling everybody, Sharife Cooper is, in my opinion, like Jared Butler is probably the better guard, but Sharife Cooper has been the most impressive player in college basketball, maybe outside of Luke Garza. But what he's done when he actually was able to play and gotten the team to actually win games, I think they're like 4-1 now, and they beat like 2 top 25 teams. Like this kid is legit, and the way that they play, just give him the ball and let everybody else cut and go for dunks and just make shots and let him make decisions. I'm super intrigued by this matchup. I really want to see what Davion Mitchell is going to do against him because, that's his former team, Auburn. So I want to see how Davion is going to take that challenge, and is he going to step up and what he's going to do to shut him down.
Of course, he is the brother of Taya Cooper, former Baylor star, who's now in the WNBA, and I had a chance to speak with her for a little bit today. She's going to join us at some point on Friday, and she's on her way into town at some point to come watch that game. As a player, when you had these in the middle of conference play matchups, whether it's somebody, well, it was the SEC, were they a breath of fresh air to get away from the conference, or was it sometimes a distraction?
I think it's a breath of fresh air, honestly, because you're so used to seeing these guys. A lot of the guys I played against them for 4 years, so I know these guys in and out. I don't even need a scouting report to really just know how to defend this guy. But it's honestly a breath of fresh air. But I think the biggest thing is that Coach Drew, he takes these games super seriously. I mean, like normally a lot of coaches they're just like, okay, we're just gonna play this game and focus on conference. Now, Coach Drew doesn't care. His biggest thing is we're going to be dependable. That was his phrase every single year, and I guarantee you he'll probably say it again this year. But by that, he means that when it comes to it, the Big 12 can count on us to win the game, because ultimately the Big 12 wants to beat the SEC in the challenge. So they can always count on us to win a ball game in this challenge. And that's the biggest thing. He always wants us to be dependable. So I guarantee you they're going to come out ready and take this game just as serious as any other game.
Craig asked you about the standings. And, of course, Texas just lost, and it gives you a 2-game lead if you're Baylor. What about looking at the records of your opponent? You have kind of one of those dangerous situations. You just played against Texas Tech and Kansas and Oklahoma State on the road, and now you got a team 1-7.
And you got Auburn that you're looking
and you have the Auburn game in 3 or 4 days. How dangerous is this matchup tonight if they're doing that?
Yeah, so these games what we call trap games. You come off a very big win against Kansas. Normally, Coach Drew always told us, they beat Oklahoma State, but they beat Kansas. Normally, after you beat Kansas, after you have 2 good wins, you kind of sort of your focus just gets shifted a little bit. So Oklahoma State, they were ready to play Cade Cunningham. So that's just Cade Cunningham. So they were still amped up and hyped up. Now this game, you really don't have much to get amped up about. And that's why it's a trap game, because you have a big game Saturday and you have this game. You just kind of want to get out the way. But you have to bring that focus. And I think that Coach Drew and Coach Tang, knowing what I know about them, they're going to make sure that they're super ready. But this could be a trap game. And if they don't come prepared, if they don't come ready, they might get popped.
King McClure with us via Zoom. Craig, Paul. Hey, man, we appreciate it, King. You were in a little bit of a broadcast drought the last time we talked to you because all these games were being shifted around. What's your schedule like?
Saturday morning, check me out on Countdown to Game Day. It's the show right before College Game Day.
Okay.
Countdown to Game Day, I'll be on there. It's on ESPN's Twitter, Facebook, Watch ESPN, and something else. But the YouTube, that's what it is. So, yeah, check me out on there. I'll be on there with Jason Fitz and Christine Williamson. Sunday, I have a game on ESPNU, SFA, and Sam Houston. 2 teams who's actually been playing really well. And Sam Houston is coached by Phil Forte, one of the assistant coaches, familiar name in the Big 12. And then Tuesday, West Virginia at Iowa State. I'll be doing that one too. So big weekend for me.
Yeah, you do. And by the way, when you wear purple for that SFA Sam Houston State game, I'll send you a purple SFA logo. That's my alma mater. Love them to death. Kyle Keller's done a hell of a job at SF. They've owned Sam Houston State in basketball the last few years. You've seen them up close. You know what they can do.
So I got a question for you. When they hit the buzzer beater on us my senior year, were you sad or were you happy?
Hey, I'll tell you what.
I got to tell you, I was at the game. I sat there in stunned silence because I was a kid from Killeen. Yeah. I was stunned. I was happy for the program, and yet because I'm so close to covering what you guys do, I realized the ramifications of that too.
He thought about just leaving. I'll tell you that right now.
That was intense though. And then then they go last year they go to Duke and do basically the same thing on a dunk. I mean, that's a tough. And of course, this year Baylor blows them out as you would expect them to do. So, no, I didn't jump up and down. I wasn't wearing it. I just I sat there in stunned silence because I was surprised.
Tiger Woods fist pump to the side. No, I didn't do one of those.
No. If they had a camera on me, whatever I just said is exactly what I did. I was stunned. That was who was that guy's name? Bogues?
Mm-hmm. Shannon Bogues.
Yeah, Shannon Bogues. Yeah, he was pretty good too. Yeah. Hey, thanks, King. Appreciate it. I'm glad you got all those games lined up. That's going to be great. Good for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
King McClure, former Baylor guard, ESPN. He's got himself some games. What's got that Big 12 game next week? That SFA Sam Houston State game, that's a rivalry. They hate each other. And so we appreciate him for his time as always.
Yeah, Evan Miyakawa, who we had on the show, said Evan Maya, my bad. That's the website, evanmaya.com or mia.com. But yeah, he had his statistics and his formula that he talked to us about like a couple weeks ago or something, and it's got the 4 Baylor players, 1, 2, 3, 4, Butler, Mitchell, Vital, Teague, and then Santos Silva from Texas Tech, but there's a really large drop-off, so I know everybody's got
Where's Kai Jones on that list? Is he from
it only shows like the top 10, and Kai, it's, okay, so there's the Santos Silva at 5, Cade Cunningham at 6 from Oklahoma State, Miles McBride of West Virginia 7, Jericho Sims, Texas 8, you got a couple West Virginia players at 9 and 10, so to each their own with the formulas, and you can work those any kind of number of ways. But I know in talking to Evan, we know he does a good job, and so it's just one to look at, and it certainly favors Baylor in a big way.
No question about it. Coming up, we'll come back and discuss a story that was it's horrific, the details involving a Seattle Seahawks football player. A few other NFL notes as well. It's the off week. They have, of course, the Super Bowl a week from Sunday in Tampa. We'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in Tampa at the Convention Center, Radio Row. I spoke with the NFL today a little bit, and Radio Row is going to be it's going to be downsized, no question about it, but it's going to be a few more stations there than perhaps some people realized at the beginning or thought at the beginning. And then also Kim Mulkey after the game last night in a rout of TCU, kind of feisty in a way. She's ready to, she understands it's go time, especially after the loss to Iowa State, who they play coming up on Sunday, and an update on Dejanay Carrington as well. And this is SicEm365 Radio. Doctors want to always see maybe a little bit more when you have something that is seriously hurts. Not just something that maybe you bumped your leg, not just something that just, is a little bit off. When something shuts you down, when something keeps you from being focused and being able to even function, you need an MRI to figure out what's going on with a bone, a ligament, or a muscle. If your doctor says, hey, we need to get a better look at that, we need to get an MRI, ask them about Ideal MRI. IdealMRI.com, their location in the Central Texas Marketplace in Waco, just off I-35 and 340. Ideal MRI, what is a normal cost of $1,100 on average, $497 or less every single time. They also can help you with any of your insurance issues or needs. Dr. Rob Maxey called me after an MRI I had at the end of March, within 3 or 4 hours after the MRI, and told me exactly what he saw, then sent me the pictures of what they took. And I was able to pass that along to my orthopedic surgeon, Dr. David Haynes. Ideal MRI, $497 or less, instead of the average of $1,100, which means some could be $1,500, $2,000 or more. And they have state-of-the-art technology, idealmri.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, we'll hear from Kim Mulkey following the win last night against TCU. They will get Dejanay Carrington back this week. She's been cleared to return. The game Sunday is at Iowa State, who beat them, just a little over a week ago. Carrington will try to get to practice, although Kim wasn't sure, Coach Mulkey, when that will be, but she will be available on Sunday against Iowa State. And other than that, they're just not sure if she'll practice. They're off today and then maybe get a practice tour in. It is a Sunday game, so there's an extra day there. And then there's the story about Seattle Seahawks offensive tackle or former Seattle tackle Chad Wheeler, no longer with the team after what are some brutal details, allegations of of domestic violence. Arrested on suspicion of felony assault domestic violence. A 27-year-old accused of choking his girlfriend until she lost consciousness. In fact, she heard him say, according to her, that even after that, when she somehow came out of it, he's like, "Oh, you're still alive."
He said, "Wow, you're alive?"
Yeah.
After he choked her into unconsciousness. Yeah.
The pictures of her from the hospital are very disturbing and heartbreaking.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. I don't want to see him. But, yeah, it's disgusting. He's 6'7", 310 pounds. If he was 5'5", 110 pounds, he'd still have no right putting his hands on a woman. But, just a big piece of garbage is basically what Chad Wheeler is. Because of what he's been accused of. And there's enough here to not go like, oh, well, she's making things, like there's none of that going on. So, yeah, I mean, Seattle did what they could only really do, and that's release him. So he's gone from their team, but he's got probably jail time awaiting him in the future, and rightfully so.
The woman, a victim, told police that Wheeler suffers from bipolar disorder and has not been taking his medication recently.
Yeah, that won't help things at all. I was actually watching an episode of The First 48 the other day, and there was a guy who went on this very frightening rampage. He was targeting homeless people in Tulsa, and he actually jumped a curb and ran over a homeless guy under a bridge and killed him, and then went and had a second attack and then a third attack and all of that. And it turns out at the end of it, he was a bipolar guy who had not been taking his medication for 6 months. And, I'm sure that played into it. So, yeah, take your meds. If you need to, take your meds, especially if you're dealing with bipolar. Not that excuses it in any way, but that's certainly not helping matters.
There was a story yesterday, and we were going to get to it, but we didn't, and it was because of the time, the crowded schedule with guests. We saw a story that Craig showed me out of the Tyler paper. Delbert Simpson, who was a star basketball player at John Tyler, played at Tyler Junior College, then came to Baylor and was here for a couple of years, was charged with taking advantage of those patients. Well, Craig, was it dementia? That were patients that had dementia, taking things from them and then selling whatever it was. This is the allegation, selling whatever it was to make money.
Yeah, he was I guess taking care of a dementia patient, an elderly couple, and took some of their stuff and pawned it off for money. And I guess that happened back in the fall in like November, but then he was just recently indicted, I guess, so that's why it was back in the news cycle. But a lot of scummy people out there who take advantage of those less fortunate, and that's not the first elderly couple being taken advantage of that I've seen here recently either. I've seen like 2 or 3 stories in the last, I'd say, 5 days that are similar to that. But yeah, he was connected to that particular story. He was at Baylor for a minute. But yeah, I knew him more from John Tyler. So, I mean, I don't know what to say really, other than I don't understand that behavior.
I knew Delbert, covered Delbert, interviewed Delbert. He always seemed to have a big smile on his face. He kind of was a basketball version, although a little bit later on of what David Warren was when it came to John Tyler, when it came to football. He was a hell of a player. Covered and did some games, broadcast some games of his, both high school and also college. So that's that. Now,
is that our pick me up segment?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, how you doing? Yeah.
Oh, by the way, celebrity Cloris Leach, longtime comedian Cloris Leachman, passed away yesterday at the age of 94. She was a very funny lady.
She looked like I'm not going to say it that way.
She always looked like she was 94. That was kind of what she was doing, but yeah.
She was in a lot of stuff. Was she a daytime TV? I mean, like a television, or was she a movie star?
She did a lot of things.
Was she ever a star?
She did a lot of things. I don't know if she was ever a star.
She never seemed to change how she looked over, from the time I remember the first time I ever saw her.
If she's if you saw her, you're like, yeah, I know her. Yeah. And you recognize her and you realize she's been in a ton of different things, but no, not known for being a Brad Pitt level Hollywood A-list star or something like that.
She was always the great character actor of comic relief. She I think of Young Frankenstein, her character in that. She was so funny.
If she was
in that movie, I mean, she was just hilarious.
I guess so.
I mean, you don't remember, but she was always fun. Like every time she stepped onto the screen, she was hilarious.
Wait a minute, isn't today the day that Denzel's new movie comes out?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow. The 20.
You got to sign up for HBO Max though.
What?
Yeah, you're not just. Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
What happened to the theater?
Well, I mean,
it's simultaneous. You can go in the theater and watch it. Yeah, you can go if you want to.
Go for it, but
I mean, it's not going to be any different than anything we're doing next week in Tampa. Walking into a room full of people. So yeah. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it'll be in the theater.
Yeah, I remember when we discussed, or it was brought
I'm going to
up,
watch it. I'm going to watch it at my house.
You can watch movies now in a different way rather than going to the theater. Are they losing money doing it?
So HBO, well, yes. So theaters right now across the country, depending on the state you're in, are open or not open. And even when they're open, they have social distancing and all that. So Warner Brothers, Time Warner, decided, because they just launched HBO Max as their streaming service, that in order to get people to sign up for HBO Max for the first month that new release movies are released, they're going to have them on HBO Max. The first one was Wonder Woman. This is the next one that they're going to have on there. So for a month, you'll be able to watch this at your house, and then after a month, it'll go back to theaters, and then 6 to 8 months from now, it'll come back to HBO Max. So they're trying to get people to sign up for HBO Max by all their theater releases being simultaneous on the streaming.
Well, since we're traveling, that might not be a bad idea to go to a theater in Florida. Go watch it.
I've already seen it.
Only time I ever watch movies is if we're at Cowboys training camp or the Super Bowl.
I mean, you can just go to a theater here in Waco.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow night, but it's tomorrow night.
Or if you're really nice to someone sitting on the set with you, he might give you his password.
Could be able to watch
Craig,
it right
you have
here
HBO Max?
No, but I'll probably get it for just the next month.
Someone here might give it to you.
Yeah.
Jack, do you have HBO Max? Armstrong, have you bought it yet?
See, that's hard.
I never will.
That's how hard it is to be nice to me.
I can't find
I'm protesting.
it. Yeah, yeah. There's so
You
many.
watch it at your
I don't
house.
even know what I have anymore. On occasion, I get an alert. I guess I have Netflix, and
I'm protesting all streaming services just because there's 50 of them. If there was 2, I'd be fine. But
then if you love all that stuff, then your bill's insane. It's already high. The cable. Yeah. Right.
I'll even create a profile for you.
You know what? If anyone has HBO Max and a username and password, if you let me know.
Well, I would have done this too.
Craig, did you get to watch? I know in that group text that late Saturday night when Conor McGregor got knocked the blank out. Did you see the video came up very soon after that? I guess, about him getting knocked. How do they do that?
What do you mean?
The Conor McGregor fight. I saw it on Twitter the next morning. How quickly does that come out? It wasn't live. It was live on pay-per-view. But I saw somebody showing the video of McGregor very late.
Highlight?
The part
comes out as soon as it happens. I mean, they'll show the end of a fight. Is that what you're asking?
On Twitter.
Yeah.
Normally they show it after the guy's out. Like they show him walking away. This was actually the 10, 12, 15 seconds before he got knocked out. I was surprised by that.
I don't know what you're referencing, but I'm guessing it's just a clip from the fight and shows the end of the fight, and you can get those within seconds of a fight being over because thousands of people across the world are watching it and putting the video up. Now, it might get taken down if it's not UFC branded, but it's still, you can find links out there, and that's why there's a lot of different ways to.
Wasn't there a time people could sit there and try to show it live and they would get shut down? People would start joining them and then they get shut down.
Yeah, you do it on Periscope. You put your phone to the TV and just record it there, and people can jump on and watch your feed. And oftentimes it's just a dude who's like sturdied his phone on his coffee table and pointed it at his big screen, and you can hear random chatter in the background. But if all you're trying to do is watch the fight, and not pay $80, then that's a way to do it. That's kind of going around the rules. But yeah, that's the Periscope way. They've tried to shut a lot of that down, but people just use different keywords to still put links up. But
we're using Periscope, right? You see all of a sudden 8, 10, 12, 15, 83,000.
I'm sure people are doing that too, where they Periscope us to their screen so they don't have to get on their actual Twitter because they want to steal our feed.
Yeah,
probably. Even though we're free.
Just as much as the UFC for sure.
Yeah.
But
so it's the same problem. We should call Dana White and ask him how he fought it.
Yeah, no, I the highlights are always up after a fight, so I'd have to see what you're talking about to see if it's
I always thought it was like still pictures, still photos. There's been times they've had a big fight and I've watched ESPN's coverage and
they kind of can do that sometimes. I don't know why some get posted and some don't, but I mean, that's the only fight that most people cared about. And so if Conor McGregor's getting knocked out, I mean, that's a pretty good choice piece of social media to throw out there.
He got knocked out too. I mean, he did. We discussed that. And
then the picture, he had his, it looked like he had like curled up a little bit for a second. Like the first picture, because his hands were up on his chest.
The best one is the Bernie Sanders meme. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where it shows Conor McGregor being choked out with Bernie Sanders with his gloves on and everything, and somebody can edit, like Photoshop that.
People like Jack.
Jack. That's amazing. It looks like he's like right there. It's crazy.
In regards to Conor, he's not going to be able to fight for the next 6 months. Not that he was likely to anyways, but just medical deals they issue after the fights and, being beat up pretty good that he won't be able to fight for 6 months, but probably wasn't going to anyways. I don't know what's in the future for him. Apparently the Manny Pacquiao boxing match is off the table, which I'm totally fine with because I don't want to see Conor McGregor boxing. It's not why I'm a Conor McGregor fan. The Floyd thing was fun for what it was, but as soon as I started hearing him talk about a rematch and talk about Pacquiao, I totally lost interest. And I'm a big McGregor fan, but that's not why I liked you to begin with. And like I said, the Floyd thing was a fun show for one night, but I'm not going to be a part of like part 2 and, then another boxing match versus a different guy. So the Pacquiao thing, it looks like it's not going to even come to fruition because he lost. So there's not as much interest now in that. I don't know about Floyd part 2. That'll probably happen when they're both like 50 and, I'm 50 and watching it maybe, but I don't know what's in store for him.
Yeah, I've seen too many fighters being initially a boxing. I used to get Ring Magazine. I love boxing. I grew up in a really great era of boxing in the 60s, 70s, and eventually the 80s. Then everything got out of craziness. but I've seen too many. I've seen Ali getting pummeled by Larry Holmes. I've seen Joe Frazier in the ring one more time than he needed to be, or maybe 2 or 3 more times than he needed to be. Very rarely does George Foreman happen, who got back in the ring. He was a big man. He was always a big man when he was a young stud gold medalist. But there's just too many guys that fight that one more fight, and they just look horrific, and they just get their ass kicked badly.
I think we need to slow down on Conor a little bit. I mean, he's 32.
Yeah,
he's not.
I'm just saying, I got a feeling he's going to continue to fight. I like the guy. I kind of like him. I don't have any problem with. What I'm saying is that I'm worried about. He got knocked the blank out, and that's never happened before. Has he ever been knocked? He's been choked out. He's been beaten. But he's lost like 4 fights. That was different, and now I'm just worried about the fact he comes back, and then you start worrying about his head, his brain, and concussions and things like that, which is a fight. It's a sport of concussions.
If you follow Conor, you were worried about his brain without any fighting whatsoever.
Yeah,
but,
you're right.
I mean, I know exactly what you're saying, but he has not taken a ton of punishment throughout his career. Now, does he have a lot of miles on his body? Yeah. Does he need to fight more regularly to avoid situations like Saturday? Probably. Is he going to be a champion again? I don't know that I would make that bet right now because he's got a tall ladder to climb now because he's basically going to have to start off like back in the middle, if anything. And he's not going to just be able to win a couple of fights and get a title shot again. That mystique, that aura has taken a blow.
Yep, it has.
And I don't think he's, we'll just see what he does next. But I'm not a fan of seeing him at like 36 after 5 more losses, still fighting and still trying to get back to glory days. I hope that's not what's in store for him. And, if he were to go out this next time and get beat up pretty bad, then I might condone him just saying, you know what, call it quits. You made enough money. But that was after a long layoff and versus a very good fighter. So I'm not going to take too much from it.
When we come back, we'll hear from Kim Mulkey following their win last night against TCU. And they're back in first place in the Big 12, right? Because Iowa State lost that game to Texas. Speaking of which, Baylor men tonight against Kansas State at home at just after 8 o'clock. Jason King at 5:30. Again, thanks to Bob Mock and Marco's Pizza. Pizza for pizza lovers, locations in Woodwade, China Spring, and Belmead, our newest sponsor and our title presenting sponsor of Super Bowl 55 coverage in Tampa, Florida, along with the others that we have that have been with us since day one and the other couple of dozen sponsors that have been added since that time. A lot of them signed up for our special events coverage as well. And thanks to Marco's Pizza for our coverage in Tampa next week, to you as well on SicEm365 Radio. Back in a moment.
I want you to remember this website, impacthealthlabs.com. COVID-19 is going to be a part of our lives for the foreseeable future, even with a vaccine rollout. The most optimistic numbers of, getting to herd immunity are still on the fall of 2021, and we just started this year. So if you are concerned about your employees, your staff, or people at your church, could be your office, your church, your school, whatever, and you need mass COVID testing, Impact Health Labs can do it. They will come to you, they'll test you, you'll have the results in 24 hours, and they take most major forms of insurance, so the cost out of pocket is very, very low. Founded by 3 ex-military medical professionals, these guys believe in precision, accuracy, doing the job right, and getting it done quickly. That's what they do at Impact Health Labs. ImpactHealthLabs.com. ImpactHealthLabs.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Couple of notes, basketball notes. In the NBA last night, Bradley Beal is the sixth player. This is one of those ESPN stats things. It's just like out of nowhere. Bradley Beal is the sixth player in NBA history to score at least 25 points in each of his first 12 games of the season, joining Rick Barry, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and Jerry West. Now, how did that come out? Like, there had to be, well, this is his 12th consecutive game of 25 or more points. Something comes out.
I'm telling you, there's got to be a formula. There's the only way to do. There's no way to go through all of that like a game by game or a season by season. So I'm telling you, like, I would love to know how Elias does their stuff because that's so random. I don't even know how you think to even think of that stat. So very smart people working it, obviously, but to find that actual information, they have to have some sort of a system
like,
set
do you
up.
plug it in? When was the last time he's with Houston, right? Last time the Rockets had a player to start with, there could be a lot of names. And then, okay, when was the last time an NBA player? And then you wonder, is there another list of 30 points or more in the first 12 games of the season? I'm sure there might be.
Impressive, though.
It's incredible. Bradley Beal was with who? Now he's with the Rockets.
No, he's with the Wizards.
Wizards. He is with the Wizards?
Yes. He did not get traded for Russell Westbrook, which would have been a better deal. But
yeah. I thought he was with the Rockets.
No.
My NBA knowledge just seeps through here on this show, doesn't it? Jack, stop. It's too much.
It could be worse.
I thought he was traded to the Rockets for James Harden.
He's on the Wizards.
No.
Bradley Beal plays for the Wizards.
So a previous boss of mine that was not you, and this is in the early career, we were airing the NBA All-Star Game. And he recorded a promo on his own with no script. And then when we didn't run it, he got mad at us. And the reason we couldn't run it is because he listed off 3 guys in the promo who had been retired for at least 3 years.
From what team?
I mean, he was like, one of them was David Robinson. Another one, he might as well said James Worthy.
Yeah.
George Mikan will be there.
Oscar Robertson
in action this Saturday.
Yeah. Kim Mulkey saying last night after the game against TCU, Baylor winning 82-49, that Dejanay Carrington will again be cleared to play on Sunday. Also, D.D. Richards went out of that game early There was a concern she rolled her ankle, and Moki saying in the postgame she was fine, but I decided not to play her the rest of the night. They didn't need her. They led 36-23 at the half. They ended up winning 82-49. Also, Baylor with that win now has a half-game lead over Iowa State. So if they beat Iowa State Sunday, you turn around and they take care of the loss, but they would be almost 3 games up if they can win that game against Iowa State. No, it'd be 2 games up if they win that game against Iowa State. It'd be 7-1 Iowa State, I think, has a game later in the week, but they're 6-2. West Virginia, Texas also have just 2 losses in the conference. Nalissa Smith, 18 points, 16 rebounds. So I was listening to some of the post game on the Zoom, and I was wondering, Kim seemed to be a little, not on, and I don't mean this in a negative way, like on edge. That loss to Iowa State stung her. She's been out. She wants to coach. We've gone over all of that. What she said, however she could have said it. So here's my question for her in the post game. Eventually a couple of them, and then Jerry Hill has one that follows up as well. Kim, have you had any kind of discussion with Nalissa of late? Because I know that seems like she's kind of come out the last week or two and really taken it to another level. I know you said she's capable of that. Is that you, someone else, or is that just her growing up?
Well, I don't want to take credit for a lot of her development. I think a lot of it, the credit has to go to Nalissa herself. But I can tell you, Smoak, since we've been back, I've been on the team quite a bit. There, it's just, I'm just intense right now, and it's time to be intense with this team. I can cut up with them and do all those kinds of things, but we've got a lot of work to do between now and the end of the season, because we miss so much. We miss season with the summer. We missed, all those weeks with COVID, and we got to work. And I think Nalissa has accepted that challenge. She has listened. She's tried to correct some bad habits, but her athleticism is off the charts. She can do things that a lot of girls can't do in the air on, flipping the ball up there, and she can catch it and finish. She's drawing a lot of double teams, and it gets crowded in there, and she gets beat up, but she just got to keep playing. You got to keep playing. So I think it's a little bit of both, probably me pushing her and her accepting the challenge.
And is this also kind of what you want? You're not so much yet back into a complete routine, but this is what you missed when people may have missed the point about what you said a couple of weeks ago, is you just want to coach, and get them back to where they need to be?
Absolutely. I don't like interruptions. I get we have a pandemic on our hands. I get it. And it's real. I've had it. People are dying from it. But you just want to be in the gym every day, and every little minute counts when you're coaching this game. Every little second counts when you got this much youth. And I miss it. I miss it when we're not doing it, and I know they miss it, and that's the only way you can get better.
Yeah, Kim, you kind of touched on it, but that 3 weeks that you were out, or the team, do you feel like you're catching up on that? Are you closing that gap on the 3 weeks that you missed?
Well, we got a long way to go. You can't, in a week, 2 practices here, play another game, 2 practices here, play another game. You can't make up that time. You have to use the games as if it were practice, but it's not the same. I can't walk on that floor and say, stop. That's not good. We got to do this. When you have a period of time where you don't have games involved is when you get better. And games are the easy part. The practices are the most difficult. And we're not, a team that can take not one day off in between games and say, oh, our legs or we don't have our legs. Oh, we got to get in shape. I don't think, quite frankly, that every one of them are in the best basketball shape they can be. Some of it's not their fault either. But I know this, I'm not letting up. I know I've got a team that understands when they put that Baylor jersey on, they don't want to let anybody down, including themselves, and it's my job to get it out of them. Yeah, she's in that let's go mode, and it's time.
the end of January. Before you know it, it's going to be whatever they're going to do with the conference tournament. A couple of stories that I didn't get to in the last segment. We got a little bit of time here before the 5 o'clock hour. So I asked you guys this because this is so far above my brain wavelength that I can't even explain it. But tell everybody again, and let the young homies as well, with Armstrong or Jack want to get involved. This story just became a massive deal last night on my Twitter timeline about GameStop. So what happened again with GameStop? Who is GameStop and what happened?
Well, GameStop, I'll give the background who GameStop is, and then Craig can take the story from there. GameStop is a place where you can go and buy new or used video games and video game accoutrement. So,
yeah,
like a Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, GameStop was, I mean, they're on the verge of going out of business practically. Their shares were under $5 per. So, not really an expensive stock, but the founder of Chewy.com, a guy named Ryan Cohen, bought a stake, and he said that they were ripe for a turnaround, and then GameStop announced that it was going to be adding some new directors, so there was kind of a little bit of, momentum going. But what basically happened was a bunch of, novice or rookie investors on Reddit, on a Reddit forum, knew that a lot of stocks, including GameStop's, were being shorted by big long-term veteran investors. And so basically and I'm not a financial guy, but basically they called the bluff on those shorts. And since then, the stock has just skyrocketed. It's gone up over 100%. I think the Chewy.com guys already made like $800 million on the stocks that he bought in GameStop. And it just shows you the house of cards that finances are and stocks are, because it's all just basically internet driven. GameStop's not suddenly way more profitable or going to be flourishing for years to come. It's all just, well, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's all like it's not real, but it is. Like,
so how did Elon Musk get into this story?
He invested in GameStop. He just further added more fuel to the fire. And so now it just further, stoked the flames, and the prices keep shooting up. And the guys who, one of the main guys who was very bullish on shorting the GameStop stock, I mean, he had to eventually pull out of that because he was obviously losing a ton of money with the stock going up. So, yeah, there's been people making literally hundreds of millions of dollars off of this GameStop surge. But, again, it's all like a house of cards thing. I mean, that company is not as healthy as its stock price would indicate.
So if I would have bought 100 at $5, 100 stock, or whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
I would have been a millionaire.
Well, you could have doubled. Well, you doubled your money because it.
No, I'm being dead serious.
The stock has gone up 1,800% in the last 15 days.
Yeah.
At one point, it was up
18 times.
It was at one point, it was up 3,000. So
I mean, to be a millionaire, you'd have to buy more than a few shares. You'd have to buy the Chewy.com guy spent I don't know, at least a few hundred. No, he spent millions in buying. That's the thing, is these stock guys, they have the money to buy. I don't have $1 million to go buy Chewy.com stock at any.
But part of the reason he wants those shares and tries to do it is because if he can get a controlling interest, then he can get their inventory. He can do that, and then he can do to GameStop what he's done with Chewy. I use Chewy all the time. It's what you get. That's where I get my dog food because it's cheaper, and so I get it every month, and then. So I use Chewy.com. So he can maybe do the same thing with video games that I did with dog food.
Okay. Armstrong, have you ever jumped into on something like that? Have you ever? I mean, I'm not trying to act. I mean, are you know much about the market and all that?
I know a little. My brother is big into it. But all I know is that basically someone tried to short it, and then the Reddit people just basically bought a bunch of shares together to jack up the price.
Who lost money?
And then the people who shorted it then bought more shares of GameStop to hedge their investment so that, if it actually continues to go up, minimize the money they lose. And so then that skyrocketed the price more. And then the Reddit people just bought more, and it's just a cycle.
Yeah.
It's now just spinning upwards.
It's not real. That's the thing. Is
it's not an actual. It's not a smart investment.
No, I mean, these guys are going to make money, and then if they get out, I guess, quickly enough, they will, but before reality sets in. Because, for example, GameStop today alone is up $200.
It's really just reflective of the market and not the business.
Yes, exactly. It shows you how.
Thank you, Jack.
Fraudulent the market it can be, and how much of a, like, I keep going back to the House of Cards, but that's really what it is, in my opinion. But no, this is not reflective of GameStop suddenly finding the best new way to sell video games from their stores. It's definitely not that. It is basically a Reddit group that has taken over the stock market, and now they're doing it with, like, AMC theaters.
Well, they just had a big cash influx as well.
Yeah, but they're
AMC.
severely in debt, and so, like, now the stock...
No, AMC theaters.
Okay.
So now the stock price is rising for no reason other than these guys are just investing, and that's why it's going up. Like, it's not going up because of good news. It's going up because of all these guys on Reddit. So a movie theater chain, which is not very popular right now, is suddenly seeing skyrocketing stocks. It just shows you how fake it all really is. And so $200 gain for GameStop today, if I'm reading this correctly. It's now $347.51 a share. It was $2.57 at one point in the last year. So yeah.
I saw this from Lori Fogelman at Baylor. This is just a unique story that to me kind of caught my attention. Baylor business professor alumna earned a National Science Foundation grant to combat human trafficking. Got a $250,000 grant. And to help fight human trafficking, law enforcement officers forced to navigate many technological challenges to break up illicit networks, rescue individuals who come and deal caught up in human trade. Baylor professor and a former student, now faculty member at Southern Illinois in Edwardsville, are working to address many of the challenges with the help of a grant from the National Science Foundation. Stacy Petter and Ben H. Williams, with Ben H. Williams, professor of information. So that's pretty cool. And Lori Giddens is also a name from a part of this grant as well.
You know, our area has kind of been at least a little bit on the forefront of doing it. Our Sheriff Parnell McNamara has had some very, very successful busts in that regard of human trafficking and helping try to stop what is, I mean, I remember hearing about it. I didn't think it was a thing anymore. And then
I saw billboards on occasion. And
it's more of a thing than ever, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting that human trafficking. I would say story, but like behavior. I don't even know what the word is. It's disgusting.
You know, it makes me remind me of a movie with Taken.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if they took her and then forced her into sex slavery, that's human trafficking, and it happens with kids, women, men, not so much men maybe, but I'm sure there are some cases, but mostly women and children of all varying ages, because there's a lot of sick, mentally ill people out there. So yeah, I'm glad that somebody's joining the fight against it, because it's just disgusting.
Just saw this from WSB. We got a break. Come back with with John Machota. Also today, Jason King on Baylor basketball at 5:30. Hank Aaron said his final goodbye at the place he made history. Home run number 715 at his procession drove through Atlanta's old Fulton County Stadium in a hearse. And you can see the outfield walls in the background, the Hammerin' Hank, Henry Aaron, being laid to rest today. It's 5 o'clock, SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street here in Waco. It is a hidden gem. I always say that, and it is because it's got craft beer that you would not imagine. They've just got so much variety and so many different things. They always have the latest variety of Valcones in stock, plus the gold standards. They have those, and they've just got a wide variety of everything. When you talk about wine, they have so many different types of wine there. I'm not a wine guy. I don't, but I know a lot of people who are. I know it's often a great gift to give to people, and I want to make sure that when you go to somebody's house and you get a good gift, that you know what you're doing. Well, that is what they can do there. You can say, hey, look, I need a good Moscato or a good Prosecco or a good Cabernet Sauvignon. Those are all wines. I said correctly, so I want that noted for the record. But Riverbend Liquor and Wine has them, and they have them just absolutely in droves. It's absolutely fantastic. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram, find out what their specials are. Steve Chapman and that crew are always so professional and always there to help you, and the convenient drive-through window as well. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street for Riverbend Liquor and Wine.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Start the new year with a new Ram truck from Allen Samuels. Ram's impressive towing capability, heavy-duty payload capacity, and smooth ride have earned Ram the Motor Trend Truck of the Year yet again. That's 3 years in a row. Check out the new 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with up to $7,250 in total value. Or take advantage of 0% for 60 or 2.9% for 72 and get $3,000 in rebates. It's the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. Shop now at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Catch is made by Amari Cooper, who broke free inside the 20. Stays in bounds and is wrestled out at the Eagles' 8-yard line.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Welcome back in. SicEm365 Radio. Smokey is dealing with some Super Bowl issues for us next week. But we're now joined by John Machota of The Athletic, covers the Cowboys. And John, first off, Jason Witten is retiring. I'm going to make now for the second time, but this one probably will stick. I'm going to make a prediction. This will be the shortest amount of time between retirement to Ring of Honor of any Cowboy in history.
Yeah, I don't know what the previous record holder would be, but I think that would be up there. Also, the fact that they could potentially do Witten and Romo at the same time I don't know how, Jerry feels about that, but that also could be a possibility. I don't know. They haven't added anybody in a little bit here, player-wise, so we'll see. But, yeah, it seems like a no-brainer that you would add Jason Witten in there, 11-time Pro Bowler, one of the greatest tight ends ever, should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the next, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever. It makes a lot of sense. But, yeah, he retired, what was it now, 2 years ago, did the Monday Night Football thing. That didn't really work out, came back, and I just think now everything points to him getting into coaching. I don't know if he'll be able to be a head coach right away. I would think he'd have to do position coaching somewhere. It's hard to see them just making him the Cowboys tight ends coach after, last season, Lunda Wells did pretty well. I mean, if you look at the season Dalton Schultz had when Blake Jarwin went down. So I don't know if it'll be right away with the Cowboys, but I also wouldn't be completely stunned if somewhere down the line, Jason Witten one day ends up being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you can't rule that out. So it'll be interesting. I think that he'll be tied with the Cowboys eventually somewhere down the line, even if it isn't next season.
Well, I mean, given Tennessee's track record, he should get started coaching right now and be their coach in a couple of years back at his alma mater. John, you had a piece up on The Athletic about Mike McCarthy in year 2 and looking back at recent history. Can you kind of summarize that piece?
Well, I'll tell you one of the biggest things that I don't think many people would guess, just because of the fact that you think if a coach won a Super Bowl, well, they're going to have success wherever they go after that. The coaches that have won Super Bowls, there's 12 of them that have went on and then in their next job, they really didn't have success. And in that first year with a new club, only one even made the playoffs, and that was Mike Holmgren when he left the Packers and went to Seattle. And so I thought that was interesting. It made me kind of think, well, maybe year one there won't be as much success as everyone is anticipating from, Mike McCarthy in his first year with this Cowboys team. And then you look at the guys and those guys in the second year. Now, I mean, these are including guys like, Vince Lombardi, Jimmy Johnson. I mean, everybody that's won a Super Bowl, John Gruden. And it's even in that second year, there's only 2 coaches that even made the playoffs. So, and that's Bill Parcells and Jimmy Johnson. Parcells in his second year with New England after he left the Giants, and then Jimmy Johnson in his second year after he left the Cowboys to coach the Dolphins. And so there's definitely not any guaranteed success just because you've won a Super Bowl before. And so some people can look at that chart and be like, well, football's changed a lot. There's a salary cap now and things. That's fine. If you just look at over what coaches have done, head coaches over the last 10 years, there's not a lot of just immediate success. And so what was interesting is that in the second year, you did see more coaches from year one, once they got into the postseason, have more playoff success. Because the only coach in year one in the last 10 years that has gone to Super Bowl is Gary Kubiak in Denver. And so now you get into coaches in their second season. There was 5 coaches now, including Bruce Arians, who he's in his second season in Tampa, taking a team to the Super Bowl. So there's some hope there for Cowboys fans that if this team does turn it around, like many people think they will, because of just everything they went through this previous season, if they do have a bounce back year and they make it in the postseason, there's reason to believe that Mike McCarthy could have success in the postseason with this team. He's a guy that went 8-8 his first year in Green Bay and then won 13 games his second year in Green Bay. So, there's reasons to see the growth in a year 2 with the program. So there's a little bit of positive there, but of course, I don't think anybody thinks that any of that positivity is going to matter if they don't get something done with Dak Prescott. And so obviously that's the next thing coming up.
One of the key things you said there was immediate success. And I know that, sometimes a team like, if you're Matt Rule or you're maybe Robert Saleh in the next couple of years, you don't maybe need to expect to have immediate success because you're trying to build a team from the ground up. But if you're Mike McCarthy, you were hired to have immediate success. Like that was the goal, was get this team that they feel has the talent to get to the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. So he really needs to have immediate success, doesn't he?
He does. And that's, now it goes hand in hand because I don't know if you can have success, at least the kind that they're expected to have, if you don't have your quarterback in place. And he clearly believes Dak Prescott is the quarterback for this franchise for the long haul, or Mike McCarthy never takes this job. So they obviously have to get that taken care of. Even without a long-term deal, Dak still is expected to be their quarterback this year under a second franchise tag if it gets ugly and it gets to that point again. So you should at least have him back. So you couple that with all the injuries that they had last year, they had to go through COVID and all the different, types of things that really don't benefit a first-year head coach. So now you have all that out of the way, and you get a new defensive coordinator, one that should be a better fit for these players. So, yeah, the expectation shouldn't be just to have a winning record. The expectation has to be win what it should be, again, a weak division, get in the playoffs, and win some games. I mean, that's what it's going to be. Yeah, if they have another year that even looks close to this year, that's not going to be good for Mike McCarthy.
John, what do you think of the coaching staff? I know it's, and I've been finalized for a little while, but just what do you think of the moves that they made?
I like the Dan Quinn hire. I don't know too many guys out there that were going to be available I thought would have been much better than Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. I understand that, things didn't end well in Atlanta, but then again, things generally don't end well for any head coach anywhere, even ones that have won Super Bowls. Eventually the time comes where, teams move on, and it generally isn't a happy parting. So all things considered, what he does, the type of style of defense that he's going to bring with that cover three, that's going to be similar to what they did, a couple of years ago with Rod Marinelli and Chris Richard. I think that's a better fit for guys that they have on the team. And now you get a chance to add to that, with a top 10 pick in the draft. So I don't know. I like the Quinn hire, and I just think that that's going to work out well for Mike McCarthy, who, while he oversees the entire team, he obviously has an offensive background. So, you can say a lot of the same things about Dan Quinn that you could have said about Mike Nolan, minus the part that Mike Nolan obviously didn't take a team to a Super Bowl as a head coach. But, he's an experienced former head coach. But I just think Dan Quinn's more recent experience and the fact that he's a little bit younger, I don't know. I just think it's going to fit maybe a little bit better with these current players. And so, again, we've talked about in here before, I don't think anybody needs to sit here and think that they're going to be some top 5 defense. But they don't need to be a top 5 defense. They need to be respectable, at least middle of the pack defense. They can't be in the conversation for worst defense in the league and giving up more points than any other Cowboys team in franchise history. So, I mean, the bar is pretty low right now.
Yeah, they can't be, let's just run the ball 15 times in a row and end this game like the Ravens did against them, earlier this year. They're the ones who got the Ravens back on track. I mean, that was the Cowboys defense, injected life into the Ravens season. John, and that defense needs to draft someone in that 10th pick. But is there a dessert before dinner pick that Jerry likes to make at 10 that you could see him not resisting, like Kyle Pitts from Florida or somebody like that?
I mean, it's Jerry Jones, so yeah, you can't rule that out. As crazy as this sounds, you probably can't even 100% rule out the wide receivers either. But you'd think that this is going to be headed towards defense. If they were coming off one of those years, 2014, 2016, again, nobody was looking at that Cowboys as having one of the best defenses in the league. They were a really respectable group that played hard. And yeah, they didn't get a lot of takeaways, but they were just very solid. If they're coming off one of those years, then maybe you can even lean more towards the offense and taking a chance there. But just how bad their defense was, and I know you shouldn't go into a draft thinking this way, but I just think they have to go into this thing going, hey, we just have to get a defensive player. We just have to improve this defense so badly, and how else are we going to do it? And we have to start doing it early in these drafts and investing that way. And so, yeah, there's always the possibility Rashawn Slater, the offensive tackle from Northwestern. And I don't think many people would argue if they went offensive tackle. But when it's all said and done, there just has to be a top-end defensive player that they come away with. And even if they don't think it's worth 10, then trade back, try and get some extra picks, and then take a defensive player. There's enough on this offense to win. There's enough on the offense to compete with any team in the league. Address the defense.
John, is it insane to you that we're still talking about Dak Prescott's contract? I mean, that's still a storyline, or is that just to be expected?
It is. And for me, if I'm going to break it down percentage-wise, 75% of it is wild. That's still a storyline because generally the Cowboys get all their big deals done with guys that they really want back, and they want Dak back. So that's especially at quarterback. So that's 75% of it. And 25% of it is, and hey, hats off to Dak for this, but is that Dak hasn't caved and it hasn't been let's just get this over with and get it behind me. If I make a few million less than what I, per year than I absolutely could have made, so be it, whatever. And he hasn't done that. He has absolutely held strong in his stance, and props to him for doing that. So yeah, the combination of the two things has got us where we are. I think eventually, the two sides come together, and I do believe a long-term deal gets done. But yeah, it is crazy that we're still talking about it. Something that probably should have been done a couple years ago.
I think the frustrating thing for a lot of Cowboys fans, John, is that, I mean, there's not been one player that they've ever wanted to extend that has taken this long. Ever. I mean, like, if they want to extend a player, they usually get it done. And some of them who didn't at all deserve extensions.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that they felt like, or they thought at least, that because Dak was able to get all these endorsements off the field, that he was going to allow that to factor in. And he's a great businessman. It's obviously very, I mean, you look at all the endorsements he has and the fact that he's willing to play hardball on a deal like this that not many other people would do. They're going against a better businessman than they probably thought they were going to. They're used to, you know, having the Cowboys brand backing them up and being like, hey, guys will cave, you know, all these players. You hear, I mean, this is the time of year, Senior Bowl, Combine. That's when you hear all these guys talking about, well, you know, if everything's equal, I'd like to play for the Cowboys. I like to play for the Cowboys. I'm always amazed when I go there and I still hear this stuff. Like, I'm like, the Cowboys haven't played in the Super Bowl in 25 years. Like, are you guys serious? You weren't even alive for that. Like, why is the Cowboys a team? I remember Tua saying that last year before the draft. Like, well, if everything's all equal, I'd go anywhere, you know. I'd like to play for the Cowboys. That was always my favorite team growing up. You hear this over and over again. And to the Cowboys, they usually take advantage of it. And this is one case where that hasn't worked out with a guy who grew up as a diehard Cowboys fan.
John Machota of The Athletic. John, always great to talk to you, man. Talk to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Take it easy.
All right, that's John Machota. I was on the phone. I got to tell you guys this story. So we're going to be at the Super Bowl, and there's an extraordinary amount of money being paid. A phone line there for a radio station or someone like us would be $300. An internet line is 3 times that. It just doesn't make sense to me. I understand supply and demand. Hotel rooms are insane. I get it. It gets jacked up, even with very few people flooding into Tampa. So the company, the WBL Services, has to commit to like $80,000 to get the service from AT&T inside the convention center. And they have to pay that like 2 or 3 months in advance. Normally, there's 120 radio stations, and there's like, 10 or 12, 15 networks that are involved in that, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, outside of some of the larger sports networks, there are 6 commitments to Radio Row. 8.
There's 8 commitments.
Usually
outside
there's
of
110 or 12, 120. I think it's peaked. Usually it's in that. And we see the empty tables. There's 6. They are going to lose their shirt.
There are usually 6 empty tables.
Right.
I mean, and not, you know,
right.
We usually grab one, and that's kind of like our baby table that we have to the side that we would need.
Our prep table.
I'm very interested because I will not be going along with you guys, but I am very interested to know what the kind of like lineup is as far as like the guests and what they actually do try to pull off, because I don't expect Jerry Kramer to be rolling through Radio Row, and I don't expect a lot of, you know, I mean, who knows with the table situation that you just mentioned, but that's not, I guess that's not totally surprising. But I'd love to know who the markets are.
Well, he gave me, Daniela Eng, she gave me some of the stations. There's a few that are owned by companies.
There won't be the random us. For example, there will be, but there won't be I guess somebody from Phoenix coming in.
Like Wayne from Hawaii is not coming in.
Yeah.
Tyler has been there almost every year since the first year in Super Bowl 27. They're not going to be there.
Wow.
So I don't know about anybody else. I can't speak for anybody else. But we'll be there, and it might be a mausoleum. One of the things that we were excited about is the fact that wanted to get our foot in the door. We're going to have our foot in the door. We might be the door. Mm-hmm. But that was why I was not there for the segment with John Machota. But that is amazing. So you got to pay $80,000 to get the feed. Then you charge $1,100 or so for an internet line, which is outrageous. Just like a hotel room might be $500 during Super Bowl week. It normally would be $99 or $189. And if you have 6 or 10 people commit to that, you can't do anything about it.
Well, I mean, and usually 80 radio stations for $1,100. Well, I mean, that'll at least let them break even. Not to mention all the things that the NFL Network would need alone.
Some of them have 8 to 10 trunks, 7 or 8 connections, whatever. So
are the Dallas stations going?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure. Not real sure. All right, when we come back.
Basically, they're going to lose their pants, right?
Yeah, they are. So me asking them, hey, we're going to be there 3 days, not 5, 6, or 7. She was great. She was fantastic, but she explained it to me. Now I feel okay about it. I don't like being gouged, but
well, should be rolling out the red carpet because nobody else is paying up money seemingly. So
yeah. And no matter what we have available to us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we will have numerous Hall of Fame type guests, NFL type players, and our regular shows and segments as well. When we come back, Jason King, Baylor tonight just after 8 o'clock, ESPN2 hosting Kansas State. We've heard from Jerome Tang. We've heard from King McClure. Now we hear from Jason King, SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. The New Year Savings event continues to roll on. They've got a lot of great deals on the lot right now, including new and pre-owned cars. And they're celebrating 2020 and starting big with this New Year, New Ride Savings event. For example, you can save right now $8,500, $8,500 on a 2021 GMC Sierra SLE Crew Cab truck. It's a truck with big haul power, first-class comfort, and ride, plus unbeatable technology. Again, save $8,500 right now on 2021 GMC Sierra SLE Crew Cab trucks. Maybe you're more in line with the SUV models. Well, Richard Carr's offering $6,250 off a 2021 GMC Terrain. They're also offering $4,500 in savings on the stylish, intelligent, and nimble 2021 Buick Encore GX, which includes on-the-go Alexa technology. And it's not just new vehicles. During the New Year, New Ride Savings event, all pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move as well, with amazing deals all over the lot, including cars and SUVs for under $137 a month for qualified buyers. If your credit stinks like 2020, it's a new year, 2021, 100% credit approval is their goal. So bring your tax refund or your stimulus check to Richard Carr, and they will stimulate your stimulus with even bigger savings that will pay off for years. Richard Carr Motors. Go to them today for details and a test drive, or log on to richardcarr.com now and have them bring the test drive to you. Make 2021 the best year ever, starting with a new car or truck during the New Year, New Ride Savings event at Richard Carr.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, Baylor men's basketball. Last night the women won. Baylor tonight hosting Kansas State. Great to always hear from different perspectives, different people, different eyes, different opinions. Jerome Tang gave us such great insight to start the show. King McClure an hour ago, and we'll be joined by Jason King here momentarily. I saw this note. Rangers last year, remember, had Corey Kluber, who had some injuries, but he came to the Rangers and he got hurt almost immediately. He pitched, what was it, Craig, like an inning or so last year for the Rangers?
Yeah, something like that.
He just signed with the Yankees 1 year, $11 million. So the Rangers get him.
Well, he signed over the weekend, but I think there's just new details coming
out. The detail on his contract's 1 year for $11 million, and they threw an inning last year or so. We're now joined by Jason King of SicEm365.com and also the Field of 68 podcast as well. Jason, thank you very much. Baylor found a way, especially just turned on the Jets in the second half. How much, and we had King McClure about this as well, how much of a trap game, if there's ever a definition of a trap game, would this one be coming up, Tech, Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Auburn ahead of you on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think under most circumstances you could definitely label this as a trap game. The only reason I'm hesitant to is just, I hate to be rude about it, but K-State is just really struggling. I mean, they're one of the probably the poorest teams I've seen in the league in a while. And, we all know Bruce Weber's a great coach. He's been to a Final Four, but he just does not have the personnel right now to contend with teams like Baylor or frankly most any team in the Big 12. And, you kind of start to wonder about his future there. So luckily for Baylor, in a situation that normally would be a trap game, they're catching a break and just playing a really bad K-State team.
After that Oklahoma State game, Jason, do you see, obviously Mike Boynton had a great strategy against them, but they popped it open late in the second half. Do you see a weakness growing with them, or people being able to figure them out a little bit, or are they just too good?
Well, I think kind of Oklahoma State might have caught Baylor off guard just a little bit, just with how physical and aggressive they were. Obviously losing Cade Cunningham right before the game, or at least according to Baylor, they didn't know he wasn't going to play. So I think they weren't quite prepared for that, and all of a sudden they probably thought they had a walkthrough, and Oklahoma State came out and got physical with them and shell-shocked them a little bit. But I think that some of the quotes from Jared Butler after the game were great. He basically said, listen, teams may be able to hang with this for 60-70% of the game, but towards the end, when people are getting tired, we're trotting JTT and Matthew Meyer and LJ Cryer off the bench, and it's just too much for people. And then guys like Butler get to go down, and Mitchell, and they get to rest their legs and come back fresh for the last 5 or 6 crucial minutes of the game. So I think that depth, even on nights when other teams may be playing at a high level and maybe rattling Baylor a little bit, I think that depth is really prevalent in the end.
Jason, how big was that loss by Texas last night, just to give Baylor a little bit of breathing room at the top of the standings?
It was huge. Oklahoma must be a little bit better than anyone's giving them credit for. And I know Texas was missing some guys, but, kudos to Oklahoma for going in there and winning. I kind of hate almost that Texas was missing those players because obviously, if this comes down to a 1 or 2 game race in the Big 12 and Baylor wins it by a game or two, we're going to hear those excuses coming from Longhorn fans. But Baylor may have to deal with that situation themselves coming up. They could lose a player or two to COVID. You just never know. So, but I tell you, it's a two-team race, and there's still a little over half the Big 12 season left. But I'm just feeling better and better. I mean, Texas has only lost 2 games. I don't see Baylor losing any more than 2 games in this. And obviously, I think they'll win at least one of those Texas games, if not both, and that'll give Texas another loss. Kansas is going to drop a few more. Texas Tech's got some losses now. I just think Baylor needs to really feel good about its chances at this point. They're certainly not getting overconfident.
Jason, I think the bench is averaging around 31.5 points per game. That's the bench.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. I saw that only because I saw a stat pop up about what they were doing as far as – it might have been either you or Ashley that posted it on SicEm365.com, which is a ton of points from your bench. And yet again, can't they even get better?
Well, they can. I mean, especially, a guy like Matthew Meyer. I mean, they're doing that with Matthew Meyer kind of having off games the past few weeks. And ATT had a game where he scored 2 or 4 points. So those are guys they're still developing and that still have a really, really high ceiling. We haven't seen the best of those two. We haven't seen anywhere close to what we're going to see from LJ Cryer. So, yeah, I mean, you got to. Of course, I'm forgetting about Flagler as well. But I mean, you've got to. You got to think that every night at least 2 of those guys are going to play significant roles, and then the ones that don't maybe produce on the stat lines. I mean, at least they're giving you quality minutes and allowing you to rest your starters without losing much. So that's what's huge.
Yeah, I just went to the stat sheet, and Cryer, Flagler 10 points a game, John Wachachua 8, Meyer 8, Meyer 8, and Cryer 5.5. That's nuts.
That's 31 and a half. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So the special team, I tell you what, I mean, it's a talented team, but man, that depth, you just don't see something like that. And the thing is, too, it's a depth that has good cohesion and good harmony. And the reason they're performing at a high level is because their heads are all in the right places and they're not complaining about playing time. They see the bigger picture. They want to win a championship. So, a lot of situations like that, when you got that many good guys, there's trouble in the locker room, and that's not the case here.
Is that the reason they have too many good guys, that Jared Butler will probably finish 2nd or 3rd in Player of the Year instead of 1st in most years where a guy like him would?
Well, you got national media members like Seth Davis tweeting that if you don't vote for Luka Garza as National Player of the Year, you should have your vote revoked. I mean, it's mid-January, and you got national media members tweeting crap like that out. So it's disappointing. But I tell you what, I mean, maybe people won't listen to him after the last few games that Butler has had. I mean, he's really thrust himself. He should have already been in the national spotlight, and he was to an extent. But when you put those kind of numbers together in high-pressure, high-level games against top 25 opponents, I mean, you're definitely going to start getting that kind of buzz. So, I would still say it's probably Luka Garza's to lose, but I would certainly vote for Butler. And maybe Seth would revoke my credentials, but hopefully some more people will too.
So you and Ashley have been doing a great job, Jason, with the podcast, and recently you had Davion Mitchell on, and he talked a little bit about Maceo Teague and his role in just his effort and everything in the defense. Can you kind of talk about that conversation and the importance of Teague defensively?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think so many people look at Teague's career scoring stats and see he's up around that 2,000 career point range and don't really credit him for the defense he plays. Plus, I mean, when guys like Mark Vidal and Davion Mitchell get so much attention for defense, that third, fourth guy on a team that may be doing great things gets overlooked. But Teague's got that great wingspan. And again, I just think he's just really dialed into the team atmosphere and wanting and embracing playing defense. That's a good thing about a guy like Mitchell. I mean, someone like Teague may not have been a great defender, 2 years ago, but you start putting guys around him that embrace it and push it, then he's going to want to rise to the occasion too. And he certainly has, his stats and just, the way he's deflecting and altering passes and grabbing rebounds. I mean, he's coming up big for Baylor in more ways than just scoring.
Jason, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Yep. Enjoy where you are, what you're doing, man. That's Jason King, SicEm365.com. Right, he and Ashley Hodge, Chris Fuentes. Ashley he's the one that posted that up, and I started looking at the stats. I was like, I just went online to BaylorBears.com and tried to get the stats. It's like 3 games. But 31.5 points per game off the bench. If you think about it, Chama Chachua, you think of him as a starter, but Thamba's a starter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Matthew Myers comes off the bench. Well, he's a scorer, although he does more. Then you have Flagler. He can shoot it. And then Cryer, even though he's a youngin', 5 points a game.
Matthew Meyer this year also, his defense, sometimes it's like the hardest thing to do is convince athletes that they're more athletic than they realize, or that they could be using that talent to do other things than what they like, and be better. And this is a hard thing to do because sometimes you're so athletic, you get by without having to do the little things. The way that they've taught Matthew Meyer to do the little things, he is now a defender that you don't want to really face because he's so long and, he gets in there and gets after you. Plus, I don't think he has any regard for the player in front of him. I mean, he's just ready to go. And, and then you've got a guy like, Everyday John, who's just, all of a sudden you think, okay, well, he's down the court. Well, no, he's going to sprint every time. This team's, every night, I'm more and more impressed with him.
I don't really have anything to follow up with.
He's just grown up. And then again, but he's been, they could use better. They could get better from him. And if everyone kind of get together, I still think I think he still has only like the tip of the iceberg. We've seen flashes, but it's the consistency of how good he can be. But I tell you what, there was a couple of times in that Oklahoma State game, it went back to the time he caught it. He was shooting the damn ball, and that's fine. That's what he does. But here they have Kansas State tonight. We'll see what happens.
His 3 was the one I think that calmed them down.
Yeah, he had
the one that calmed them down and got them to go, okay. And then when Jared Butler hit the one right on the next possession, it was like, okay, here you go.
Armstrong, do you have the video? And I sent this Saturday of the Steve Sarkisian talking about his scheme in that coaching clinic. I don't think it's very long. The reason I brought this up is Sarkisian now when he's at Alabama, now of course at Texas. But he was talking about what they were doing. It's a little football X's and O's. Let me know when we get that. Okay. It's no rush. But he did bring up Dave Aranda, and I'm finding more and more of when I look into some of the stories, the articles, and pieces of audio about that Dave Aranda, they picked his brain or they did this. Or when you're talking about going up against the elite defensive coordinators, then, like Dave Aranda. It's what it was said. And I don't even know the date of when.
Did you email it? Or?
Yeah, I did. January 23rd at 11:07 p.m. About the time Conor McGregor went night-night.
Armstrong was probably already night-night.
Go to
11:07?
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Go to, I don't know how many more things they've posted, at all22 _ breakdown.
Okay.
And it says Sark explaining how he changes his scheme based on quarterback abilities, which is interesting.
All right, between our two over here, I would say on Saturday night, Armstrong was asleep at about 10:15 or so. And I would say
that guy.
I would say that Jack was
was surfing the web.
No, I think
at 1:38 in the morning.
Yeah. I went hard on Friday. Yeah. Okay.
He went hard on Friday. So,
but I mean, he was still up.
Well, Scott Drew even said this when he mentioned this when King McClure brought it up. He got a call at 1 o'clock in the morning, and Scott, when I asked him about it, I guess on Saturday, Sunday, whenever it was, the college kids. It's like their prime. Right, if you go to a club, and I can't remember the last time I ever thought about it, but if you go to a club, you get there at 8 o'clock and you're too early.
Yeah, you know what's funny, and you'll find this out, Jack. Armstrong doesn't have to worry about this because it's not his scene, but you like the louder a bar, like the older you get, the louder a bar gets, even though it was the same as it was 5 years before. Like, so you like when you're my age, you walk into a bar and it's just as loud as it was when I was 22. I'll be like, what is this?
Can't hear anybody talking. Can't hear a conversation.
How can you converse? Nothing's changed. There's not more decibels. I'm just crabbier.
Yeah, basically.
That's it.
Basically. Just getting older.
But for the record, I stay up later than 10 o'clock on Saturday nights. I just want to go on the record.
Glad you clarified that.
Yeah, you need your street cred's going to drop.
Yeah, well, my street cred's already already pretty low.
That's not our fault. That's Drake and JD's fault. I blame them for that.
Hey, Armstrong's Army still got my back. So.
Yeah. I blame them for that, like playing Dead or Alive and asking questions about guys that played in the 80s like it was that long ago.
Armstrong, I'm going to find it for you. I don't know if we're going to have time to get to it. It's not.
Why don't
that
we go ahead and take a break?
All right, we'll do that. Oh, okay.
We can do
Normally
that.
I say, hey, let's take a break. No. Extend it for 5 minutes. I'll get it to you. We'll have it in the break. It's a short little piece, but it's Steve Sarkisian, but he brings up Dave Aranda. What the hell? Let's play it. We'll have it next on SicEm365 Radio.
Fall in love with a new vehicle for less at Allen Samuels with incredible deals like a 2021 Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus or Lux with $6,750 in values, or a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo for $4,250 in values. There's a reason why Jeep has so many accolades. So come see for yourself and save at AllenSamuels.com. It's the Start Something New sales event at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. AllenSamuelsDCJ.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, sorry about how I went into that last commercial break. I try to find little notes like this. This is Steve Sarkisian explaining how he changes his scheme based on the quarterback's abilities, which you would think that's what you should always do, but some guys are going to try to force it. And maybe we saw that last year with Baylor. I don't know. But this is about 50 seconds long. There's about a half a second mention, but Dave Aranda is connected to when he talks about facing great defensive people.
We may call more of it with certain guys, right? I may call more of this with a Mac Jones as opposed to I would with a Tua Tagovailoa. Tua, very instinctual. He can make RPOs work. He's the best signaler I've ever been associated with. I mean, this guy will signal things that we didn't even practice, but he'll signal it and it works. Mac Jones, very detailed, very like A, B, C. So when you talk progression reads, like for us, this is a staple-based concept that we run. If I know, hey, I'm going into the game and Dave Aranda or whoever, all these great guys. I mean, there's a lot of awesome coaches out here that are going to play man-to-man versus us. We are going to run a rub route on you. Okay, we are going to run a
all right, so it's a very slight, but I just thought it was pretty cool. Here's the guy who's the next Texas coach, and at Alabama, talking about Tua and Jones, and mentions Dave Aranda, who's of course now been the Baylor coach the last year.
Baylor fans should be impressed that even after just a 2-win season, that Texas went and hired somebody that has coached against a Dave Aranda defense.
Yeah,
that's how intimidated.
Yeah, that's exactly
there you go. That's how it
worked.
worked. Two wins. I said, listen, look, the guy's too smart. They knew it.
The game in Austin, where the offense was, as almost every week, just a mess. But there were 3 to 4 plays in which, did I see, Craig, is it Torrey Black, the wide receiver? I know there was a young man that played at Connolly, Corey Black, but that he's in the transfer portal. He caught the really long catch and run.
The draft, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who are we talking about?
Tariq Black from Texas going to
Texas,
the draft,
the wide
right?
receiver.
That transferred in from Michigan?
Yeah.
What about him?
I think he may have entered the draft.
I have no
but he
idea.
caught that game against Texas and Baylor, reflecting back, what I remember the most is, yes, the offense was a mess. Okay, tell me something new. It was the 3 or 4 long throws that broke the defense's back.
Yeah.
Because they played otherwise. But that's all it takes.
But that was,
if you take away 3 50-yard plays, well, you can't.
But that was kind of the success of Tom Herman's offense everywhere he's been, is that he does not get things from you. Like he's not very effective at methodically beating you up on offense. It is, I'm big play here, big play there, and then most of it's kind of haphazard. And that's why he doesn't have the job there anymore, is because Sam Ehlinger didn't get any better under him, and their offense was better hope you get this big play. Otherwise, they're not going to run the ball. They're not going to try to wear you out. They're going to try to beat you with a big play and demoralize you. And if that doesn't happen, well, they're SOL.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's why sometimes it looked like it was so vanilla. But, again, they had Ehlinger, who was complimented earlier today by Eric Galko. So we'll see what happens. One more note about the Hall of Fame, then Paul's 5. After we went off the air, and then this became the story last night, Curt Schilling saying that, take me off the ballot, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a part of the ballot. He has the right to do that. That doesn't mean baseball has to take him off the ballot. There have been very few players who didn't get in after the 9th year that have had huge jumps. Golly, I just went blank on one of them.
Edgar Martinez, Tim Raines.
There you go.
And there's another pitcher. All had huge jumps in their last year, because then all of a sudden people go, oh, well, I've been too much of a jackass on this. I better vote him in. He really was a Hall of Famer, but the fact that you wouldn't put some of those guys in within 5 or 6 years just shows you how.
Larry Walker was a pretty good jump.
Larry Walker was the one. Yeah, Larry Walker.
Pretty good jump. And you wonder, okay, if he wasn't a Hall of Famer, and I know you can only list 10, and never is there going to be 10, but then all of a sudden, it's kind of like the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They only allow, what did John say, 5?
Yeah.
You had to vote for a minimum of 3, a maximum of 5, modern day. And then, every year that's almost impossible to weed out.
I would think if the Baseball Hall of Fame had a minimum of 2 or something like that, or, that they had to put in, then that would help it. Now, sometimes there's years where, 5 years out, the guys that retired 5 years ago probably aren't Hall of Famers, but you would probably catch that up in the wash. Like, they could do that for a few years and then reevaluate to kind of make up for this, what's going on now.
So he's requested to take his name off the ballot. They don't have to do that. They can put him on again. And my point is that if he's back on for his 10th year, next year he may get 0 votes because of what he said. I mean, he's already gotten not enough because of what his political opinions are, things he said that were stupid and out of line, and sometimes just him being honest.
The funny thing is I see people like, what's he get? You know what he's going to say? Like, I saw some people go, well, part of it, they don't want him to get political in his acceptance speech. Look, I know Curt Schilling can shoot off of the mouth. You know what he's going to talk about in his acceptance speech at the Baseball Hall of Fame? Because he's not an idiot. He's going to talk about baseball.
But one of the reasons I don't watch any of the award shows ever anymore is because they've all gotten involved in politics with their acceptance speeches.
Oh, and nobody knows what the common American person's life is like more than Hollywood stars.
Yeah, the most hypocritical.
Let's listen to them for guidance, you morons.
All right, so again, Baylor tonight, Kansas State, just after 8 on ESPN2. Time for Paul's 5 right before 5:55.
All right, today, based on just what we heard from John McClain yesterday, that he doesn't think that the Texans will trade Deshaun Watson, but I thought, look, if it's now more possible than it was, because he did seem to kind of back off his stance. Top 5 fits for Deshaun Watson, and this is, salary cap trades. These are the fits of this would be if you encounter the draft capital plus, where it's actually possible. Like, look, it would be great for the Saints to get him, but that's not realistic based on what they have available to give up. So, number 5, the Carolina Panthers and Matt Rule. Look, Teddy Bridgewater's not the answer. They have a fairly high draft pick. They've got some draft picks they could package in the future with them. Plus, that's where he's from. So it would be huge for them. And they've got weapons. Look, Robbie Anderson had a really good year with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. Curtis Samuel's a free agent. He probably walks, but DJ Moore had a good year. Christian McCaffrey is back. That's a great place for him to step into and could win pretty quickly.
But if you're going to build something, and I know that would be a huge part, that would be the roof, basically. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem to be his style.
No, it doesn't.
The Carolina Panthers they want to build it with the ground
and of course, you're going to have to give up a lot of capital in the future, which I don't know if that's what they want to do, especially with a new general manager. But I do think it would be a fit because they could do it if they wanted to.
5 is Carolina.
All right,
and
number 4, the 49ers. I actually think this is actually pretty likely. Jimmy Garoppolo is probably very tradable and maybe a stopgap for Houston if he's included in the deal. John Lynch has shown he's really crafty at packaging draft picks to get players when they're healthy. Raheem Mostert at running back, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver, George Kittle at tight end, an offensive line that's already really good. Deshaun Watson could have them back in the Super Bowl next year.
How dare you not mention JaMychal Hasty?
Or Jeffrey Wilson from Elkhart.
Yeah. Jeffrey Wilson has got a new deal. He's above JaMychal Hasty on that depth chart. JaMychal will be interesting to watch in summertime. We know as far as what they think of him because he's behind at least a couple of guys already.
Good ones too, yeah.
But 49ers, the Jimmy G thing doesn't look like it's going to be the long term. So that would definitely make sense.
Yeah, and Jimmy G's going to find himself being a stopgap quarterback, and he's good. He's just not great, and that's what he's going to be. Number 3, the New York Jets. New head coach in Robert Saleh. They have the 2nd pick in the draft. They have the 2nd pick in most every round. They need a boost. Sam Darnold could be part of that to go back to the Texans again as a stopgap. And of course, they have the 2nd pick of the draft, so they could draft somebody if they wanted to.
But if you're there's nobody in the draft that's better than Deshaun Watson because he's done it, even though he's probably been better than some people could have maybe thought.
I'm just talking about for the Texans would have the 2nd pick, so they could do what they wanted to. So it's a match for the Texans that I think would be intriguing. Number 2, the Denver Broncos. They've got some young weapons too. Very reliable running backs in Gordon and Lindsey that'll help you out. Plus young wide receivers like Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler.
Who?
all young players.
Judy, the kid from Alabama.
Judy Hamler's from Penn State. Tim Patrick, I don't know where he's from, but he's a player they think a lot of, and a tight end, Noah Fant, who's really good.
I forget Denver's still a part of the NFL.
Lately. Yeah, and Drew Lock just not really cutting the mustard there.
Okay.
And number 1, the Miami Dolphins. The Texans get their pick back. Probably all of these picks back for Deshaun Watson. I know that Tua, they just drafted him last year, but this team looked really good on offense. They need a running back, and they've got good wide receivers. They won with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They won with Tua. I would think Deshaun Watson could put them, especially with a defense that looks like it's on the come as well, an offensive line that's young and built. This is a place that he could win pretty quickly and would do well there.
Yeah, I just think the problem with that is that you got a quarterback that's young already, and to go get Watson, you're going to have to give up some stuff. So whereas you go with having a young quarterback and all these tools at your disposal to draft around him, you're basically going to have to sacrifice that just to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's where I would hesitate on the Dolphins, because they look like they're in the kind of the slow build. But, I mean, they would, Tua's not a sure thing, by any means. He's certainly not Deshaun Watson. But, I thought the whole Deshaun Watson thing was kind of silly to begin with. And it's, just if I was a Texans fan, I would be at wit's end about, the whole situation. And the fact that there's even the slightest of possibilities that it could really actually happen would have me up in arms, but they're clearly up in arms. Well, they had a march,
and
last
there's going to be.
By the way, Jack, did you do the graphics again? Beautiful, very nice.
There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that move. I mean, this is going to be the most quarterback movement. Now, there's 2 that ESPN is going to mention until there's an answer, and that's Dak and Aaron Rodgers, and they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be where they are. Matt Stafford's not going to come home and play in Dallas. It's not going to happen. It's going to be talked about.
It's fun to talk about.
It's fun to talk about.
That's more bar talk or tailgate party talk.
But you've got a list here, Smokey, and Carson Wentz also not going anywhere. I don't think that's going to happen just because of the salary cap ramifications. But there are a lot of guys that could be on the move, and it's going to be wild.
It's half the league. It's half of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Remember when Kim Mulkey a couple of weeks ago, it depends on how you look at what she said when it comes to the almighty dollar. The NCAA had a $56 million overall loss, a $702 million drop from the NCAA tournament not being played. They received $270 million of that from cancellation insurance. Very smart. And they spent $473 million less on hosting or promoting events. So
it goes to show you they could be saving money there every year, because there's
just like some athletic departments could be.
There's no reason to be spending that much money in the first place on the promotion of it.
They need to and I know that you want to have the experience for all athletes, but they do need to kind of get some of this non-revenue stuff under control to where they're not. And they've tried to make it more regional or whatever, but I don't think that the women's tournament, based on the attendance that you have on the sites, needs to be outside of home venues until the Final Four.
Yeah, because, let's face it, just not enough people care. They just don't. Unless you get into a market where there's a big women's basketball flavor or something, like an Oklahoma City or whatever, outside of that, there's not a lot of spots where you're going to be packing tournaments, and so you're kind of renting gyms for...
If it used to be pretty much to me all the way.
Yeah, look, if the top 4 seeds this year, and I'm just going to throw out the 4 most popular programs are Baylor, UConn, South Carolina, and Stanford. If those are the 4 cities that the tournament's held in, then those are the 4 cities that the tournament is held in the whole time.
Yeah, the Lady Bears don't need to go play in Columbus in the first round for any. I know they host a game or whatever, but I'm just saying they don't need to go up to. Just stay in Waco, stay in Dallas, and yeah. There's no reason for the cross country, especially early on in the tournament. But that's a lot of money spent on just the advertisement and all that. I can't believe they spent. I guess I can't believe the events
too.
Money.
There's a lot of
now
that's
imagine if they had a football season.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's from Front Office Sports. That's a pretty cool. I contacted that guy last night to see if we can get him on the air. He was available, but not yet for us right now. So that's a lot of money. Less than half the plan, $600 million in distributions were sent out. And they do plan the whole, and that's kind of what she was referring to. And also, of course, games that are going on right now. Mack Rhoades mentioned the discussion with us, not this week, but last week as well. So there's a little bit of the money issue that the NCAA has been hammered with. All right. Thanks to Jerome, Tang, Eric Galco on the Senior Bowl, King McClure, Kim Mulkey, John Machota, also Jason King as well. We mentioned Jason Witten retiring, always famous for that time when he was playing Philadelphia, caught a pass, got tackled, had his helmet ripped off, and kept going. That's going to be always like his staple. Tomorrow, who did I mention? Sean Bell, Baylor offensive coordinator, will join us. For Jack McKenzie, Armstrong Sims, as always, thank you very much. Earlier, Paul, our newest intern.
Oh, Zach
Sweeney. Appreciate him as well. For Paul, Catalina, and Craig Smoak, thank you very much for watching and listening to us. I'm David Smoak. We'll be back tomorrow. Drake and J.D. 11 to 2. We'll back at 3 o'clock tomorrow. SicEm365 Radio. Good night. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.